What's up, everyone? It's the Interview Queen Alicia Toot here, and be sure to watch True Heel Heat.
This is the knockout artist, Kris Hero. And if you're looking for some true heel heat, you better listen to them boys.
Yo, what up? You know what it is. It's your boy AJ Francis reporting to you live from New York City, the birthplace of hip-hop. And I'm telling you that I'm only tuned in with True Heel Heat Wrestling. Holla at me.
What's going on, everybody? This is your former AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Once a champion, always a champion. Swerve Strickland. Whose house? Swerve's house. You're watching True Heel Heat podcast.
Hello. It is me, your True Heel Phenom, SP3. We are live on the True Heel Heat YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for AEW Full Gear 2024 review, discussing last night's show from Newark, New Jersey. And boy, oh boy, there is a lot to discuss from AEW's latest major event. And we had an all-star lineup joining us today. First up, my usual tag team partner when it comes to these pay-per-view reviews, my co-host over on the True Heel Heat flagship podcast, the True Jaw Josh. How are you doing?
Doing good. It's a great show last night, so I'm satisfied.
I feel like saying AEW had a great pay-per-view is like saying that LeBron James is a great basketball player, or that Infinity War is a great movie. Like it's just something like we should already know this is gonna happen. It's always happens. This is usually what we're saying. We got also with us our usual co-host, our usual special guest on these AEW pay-per-view reviews. Our main man over at the N.W.A podcast is Professor Kris. How are you doing?
Dude, chilling, man. Like, yeah, the show was great. But I guess we'll talk about it because it was on the mid-level of great AEW shows, because there was some silliness on there that's hard for me to shake, but we'll talk about it, you know?
We break it all down as only we can. And to do that today, we got our main man. He's giving us an exclusive here because he's joining us on back-to-back days. What is this? He's like a workhorse now on this channel. He is the resident True Hill alcoholic himself, Top Guy JJ. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. You know, it feels like that John Cena schedule. You know, when you give the schedule, you go all in, and then you just take like a year off and shit. It's like an all-in weekend at every show, at every event, and then you probably won't see me for like 6 weeks.
Kind of how that works. But yes,
yeah, fun night last night. We got a lot to talk about, obviously. So we'll just save that for the show.
I feel like we're in some type of toxic relationship. I have a toxic boyfriend who, when he gets paid on a Friday, we have a good night. He takes me out for dinner. We make love together. The weekend is pretty good. And then Wednesday comes around and he's drunk. He got suspended from work. And now he's hitting me again. I feel like I'm in a very abusive, toxic relationship with AEW. Seems like that. And then the following Wednesday, he's like giving me flowers. He's giving me candy. Then the following Wednesday after that, he's cheating on me. The following Wednesday after that, like it's like, yo, I can't. But once a month, he gets paid from his job once a month, and that weekend is always the best weekend.
And that's why in those abusive relationships, that's why you never call the cops and you never get them taken away, because they're always going to somehow just make it up.
Right. Yeah.
So we don't promote the toxicity, but if you're in it, just know that something good is going to happen at the end of the month.
Something good will happen. You'll bust that nut. You get that next weekend. Come on. But yeah,
just know you're gonna get let down in a few days. Just know what's gonna happen. Just be okay with it.
No, you know what? It's the holiday season, so they're working very often. They're getting paid twice in the month because it's Continental Classic season. So that's the only. It's a good time. It's a good time. It's a good month. We've had a good month. That when the girlfriends go and check on them, they like, we had a good month this month. This month was a good month. So I think we're on the right way, on the right path.
I love that because we talked about that yesterday. It's like, it's okay. They're gonna be better.
Yeah,
just chill. It's like the overreactions be fucking like ridiculous. It's like, all right, it's cool that they had a rough, but they're gonna make it up. They're gonna make it up.
It's gotta be good. It's gotta be good. But yeah, we gotta discuss AEW Full Gear 2024. We appreciate y'all if you are joining us live. Appreciate y'all if you're watching us on demand. Remember to show your appreciation back the simplest way possible. Let's drop the thumbs up on this video. You can also share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you are new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. We have gone over 19,000 subscribers, 19.1 to be exact. So we are less than 1,000 subscribers away from our goal of 20,000 for the end of the year. So thank you so much to everyone.
Do that. Come on. That would be awesome.
Yeah. It would be very awesome. We got a month and change to go, so we always appreciate the support, and it's a great time to become a subscriber because we got plenty of content for you to enjoy. Plus, we got our year-end content that you guys will be able to vote on. So appreciate y'all for hitting the subscribe button. Hit the join button if you want to become a member. You get first notice for different content as well as for our voting for our year-end awards, and of course sound off in the live chat if you're watching on any of the platforms. We appreciate y'all, so we try to highlight as many of your comments as possible. But of course, if you're feeling generous, you want to give back to what we do here, you want to show your support to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, you can send a super chat donation. Like our good brother chilling with Chase Oliver, who joined us for our watch along yesterday, and it was a pay-per-view, so we always got to call on Chase with what was the big winner of the night, what was the big betting favorite, and apparently he is sharing the love because he's here to tell us won't be able to make the review live, but I did win on my Kyle O'Reilly underdog bet, so sharing some of the winnings. Tremendous outing for him. Man, that's a great catch. Chase always catches these great ones where if I was betting, I would have put some money down on Kyle O'Reilly because Kyle Fletcher, excuse me.
I was like,
Because
Kyle, you lost everything.
No. I said to you guys yesterday on the flagship. I was like, I think that Ospreay's gonna put over his best friend. He's gonna put over Fletcher hard body. I was like, I want Ospreay to win, but I think I know him enough that he's gonna want to put over Fletcher big. But I didn't expect that. He washed him.
Yo, can you like not skip all the shit and you about to get into the damn review of the match?
I gotta give my thoughts. He sent a super chat. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's my yo. There's not a damn thing that this man does not bet on, man. This man bets on roly poly. This man bets on rock paper scissors. He bets on I Declare War. He bets on dominoes. This shit is available to have a parlay. He gonna be in it.
He's a part of the parlay for sure. We got Vala B with a super chat donation. Thank you so much, our good brother. He says, this show flowed very well for me, mostly because it built like a Puro card, almost entirely straight up matches with clean finishes. I really appreciate that the card had no interference until the main event. That's what made the main event more impactful with the interference. And there was no blood throughout the night until the main event. And that made the blood shed in the main event like feel like it felt more important. Kris?
Well, the girl bled, Mina.
Well, that was an actual match. I'm talking about in the matches.
Okay, yeah. Right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I'll be honest, spoiler alert, I did not think that needed to be on this show. But
we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about that for sure. We got Mala B also with the additional comment saying, aside from Ricochet trying to wrestle a NJPW main event style for some reason, probably because he's facing Zach at the Dome for likely the main event for Wrestle Dynasty, I like the matches either for the match itself or the result. Yeah, I would like. I did a review over for Fightful Select over with Alex Pulowski, and he was very high on this show. And I think he gave like the best definition. I was like, even the worst match on the show was a good match, and would probably be the best match on any other show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what my LVP is because I just don't know. I'm still like, as I talk to you guys, I'll figure it out. But it was a good show for a lot of people.
Off the top of my head, this is the first time I've actually thought about it, but I did get an answer, and we'll get into it. We got I Make Beats.
Let it process. Hello. Let it process.
He says, hello, THH Pete's show had some good matches, some not so good. He also says match of the night was Swerve Lashley. And we also got another super chat donation from Vala B. Thank you so much, Vala B, showing your support today. He says, shout out for Professor Kris promoting the Blue Sky tag. Get away from the grifters and AI stealing your art.
Yeah, exactly, man. Fuck Elon and all those bitches, man. I got on Blue Sky because at every like wrestling fan, political pundit, professor that I talked to told me to get on Blue Sky. So it's the same as my Twitter handle, so it's easy to find.
Yep,
that's good. Yeah, get away from any negativity like that for sure. Mm-hmm. I appreciate that. We also got Power Driver Finisher in the chat with us. Good to see a lot of the familiar faces out here today. But let's get into AEW Full Gear 2024, how we start off all these pay-per-view review roundtables. Give me one word, one phrase to give your overall thoughts on last night's pay-per-view. We'll start with Kris.
Black. My one word for now.
Black. All right, we got that. Top guy JJ.
I'm gonna say satisfied.
Yeah, I'll let Josh go and then I'll give mine.
I'll say solid because last month I said satisfied, so I'm like it's solid, especially because the way the build up went.
Yeah, they had to overcome the buildup
Yeah.
on a lot of these matches. So to be fair to them, I would say my one word is Rizzler.
Oh yeah. That's the little guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That guy is a natural entertainer. Every time the camera was on him, he was ready to go, ready to do the look and stuff. Man, that kid's got a future.
I think so.
Let's get into AEW Full Gear 0 Hour. Overall, though, what did you think about the crowd last night in Newark, New Jersey, Josh?
I thought the crowd was good, and then I think maybe like the last hour or so, they kind of just like it just looked like they were tired, to be honest with you. It did get quiet, but I understand because they were there since like what, 6 o'clock? Right?
6:37, yeah.
Probably, he's probably right, like 6-ish, because you go to sessions before you sit, then you go to 0 hour.
So I mean, I understand. Like sometimes it's like it's winded. Yeah, like you get super winded, like when those kind of shows. So
yeah,
maybe that's what. But for the most part, I thought they were good, better than the last two crowds they got on Dynamite for sure.
That is true.
There's one of those rare cases that you go to a show and you look for the opportunity to get a little break. This show didn't really give you that opportunity.
Right.
There wasn't any Jericho match.
Right. Anybody that was with us when we went to Grand Slam, as soon as we heard it's the learning tree bathroom, everybody just chatted.
I know, right?
So it was like you got a chance to breathe for about 5 to 10 minutes. This show was 5 hours, and you kind of had to be invested in the whole show, basically, except one part. But it was very late into the show.
Yeah. This one you had to kind of pay attention to everything going on. Like I literally probably had to use the bathroom like at the beginning of Ospreay and Fletcher, and I didn't go until after like Ricochet into Takeshita. Kris, any thoughts on the Newark crowd last night?
I thought it was a really good crowd. They were popping for shit that I wouldn't have been popping for. But it was a good crowd. And I went to Full Gear a couple years ago in New Jersey. And they are always a lively crowd there in Newark. So I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I thought they were kind of so-so. They were up and down. But it was understandable when they were down because it came after like freaking ridiculous matches. Like it took them a while to kind of recover from like the best stretch of the show. So I will hold out hope that it was just that. But let's go really quickly through the 0 hour. You had the opening matchup, which barely was in front of anybody, which is a damn shame for Deonna Purrazzo in her home state of New Jersey, going one-on-one with Anna Jay. Taya Valkyrie was running interference on the outside a lot during this matchup. At one point, she takes Anna Jay out of the ring right in front of the referee and spears her. This leads to referee Mike Posey kicking her out from ringside. Instead of just disqualifying Purrazzo, he ejects Talia, and Purrazzo goes for the arm breaker, the Venus de Milo, but Anna Jay is able to roll her up for a flash pin. I thought that the whole point of this matchup was to give Deonna Purrazzo an actual win in her home state and actually put over the new story that she's doing with Taya Valkyrie as the Vendetta. And then they have Anna Jay win. So I'm just like, what was the point? You could have put something else on this show or not had this match at all and just did 2 matches during 0 hour.
Yeah, I didn't understand it either. It made no sense to me.
Yeah, this is one you wish they would have took back.
Top
guy JJ.
0 hour. Nobody's gonna remember the 0 hour. So,
also true.
So I'm not mad or indifferent about it. I'm not gonna hold them accountable. It's fucking preview hour. They could have thrown anything on. Nobody's gonna remember it. Everybody's getting merch and food.
Yeah, there was barely anybody in the seats. It was kind of depressing. Josh?
Match was it is what it is. The Deonna was winning, so I was like, oh, all right.
I guess they don't. They're not pushing Deanna Purrazzo. They're mad at her for going to get an education.
Probably, even though they paid for it.
They paid for it, but they're mad at it. They're like a parent whose kid didn't go to the college that they wanted them to go to. They was like, "I'll pay for your tuition, but room and board, you're on your own."
It's good for Hannah J, I guess. You know, she got another one. You know, she's looked better since she's come back from Japan. So I mean, and that's the silver lining. I mean, that's just what it is, I guess.
Gotta shrug at that one.
I mean, it was nice to look at.
Yeah, always
nice to look at. So you know,
backstage, Lexi Nair is with Billy Starks, who lets us know that she will be one of the participants in the ROH side of the four-way International Women's Cup qualifiers to see who moves on to Wrestle Dynasty in the Tokyo Dome. ROH Women's TV Champion Red Velvet walked in to say that she's also in the matchup, and then mocked Starks for beating her for the title. Layla Hirsch joined and said that she's in the match. And then finally, ROH Women's Champion Athena interrupted and said that this is all a part of her world tour to take over, international world tour, and she will be in the four-way as well. So interesting four-way to set up here. I felt like because they're doing this here, they're probably not going to do this on ROH TV, and it'll probably be on an episode of Collision or Rampage. So
I gotta be honest, I completely forgot Red Velvet was a thing until this segment. And then I was like, because I was looking, I was wondering who that was. And I was like, oh, that's Red Velvet. And I completely forgot about that, sister. Sorry about that, Red.
It's okay. You're totally fine. We also had backstage QT Marshall. He was asked about laying out Big Boom AJ on Rampage. He runs down New Jersey and said that AJ represents the trash New Jersey has always had to offer, and he's worse than Bruce Springsteen himself. And that led into their match later on as the main event of 0 Hour. The second match on 0 Hour was Buddy Matthews versus Dante Martin versus Commander versus the Beast Mortos. Buddy Matthews was so over in New Jersey. He got a loud ovation before the bell. The crowd was way into everything he was doing. Everybody here, this was kind of your spot fest party match of the night. Everybody's hitting big moves. You get Commander does the perfect rope walk dive onto the pile of superstars. You get Beast Mortos doing the power moves, using his speed a little bit. And Dante Martin, of course, showing off his hop. In the end, it was Dante who hits his frog splash on Beast Mortos, but then Buddy Matthews hits the curb stomp on Dante to pick up the victory here. I thought this was a good match on 0 Hour, probably the best out of the 0 Hour matches. I gave it 3.25 stars. Top guy JJ, what did you think?
Yeah, as predicted. And I love matches that kind of like happens like this because this is like a really good test to see what can make it to like further TV. So they kind of like tried everything to see what works, see what sticks, what pops. And it was fun. It was fun to watch. And, you know, I thought this was something that could have qualified for the main show. So I had fun watching it. So, yeah, you know, solid 3.5 star match. Like, it was good. It was fun to watch. And
Kris?
I love Buddy being so over. So that was really cool, like, hearing his reaction. Because, you know, he's due for some good moments.
True. Kris?
Yeah, it was a great match. I think Buddy is in the company that he belongs in. And I think he'll be on the actual pay-per-view really soon. I think it's good to have a guy like Buddy Matthews on these pre-shows just to give you some intrigue to even go to the show early enough to watch the pre-show, you know. So that was cool.
You definitely need that. Josh?
The match was solid. The match was basically what I expected. And yeah, this guy was over as fuck. I was surprised with that reaction and the chant. Now that's why I was like, yeah, he's definitely winning.
He had to win with the how over he has, and he's on like the best stretch that he's had in AEW. Like he got very much over in the match against Adam Cole to the point that he was getting Cole booed. Then he had a good show, and I think it was against Commander on an episode of Collision. And now he's got this performance here. The one big nitpick that I had on this matchup is that this should have been a Continental Classic qualifying matchup. Because as soon as I saw these 4 guys, I was like, one of these guys absolutely needs to be in the Continental Classic. I will take more than one of these guys in the Continental Classic because they can have so much fun. And these are the type of guys that can take a couple of losses and they'll be fine. But I was like, the one thing that could have made this feel like it had more stakes and felt like it wasn't just an add-on on 0 Hour is if you made it a qualifier for the Continental Classic.
Yeah.
Good point.
I think they did that because I think more than one person is going to be in the match. So I think maybe that's why they did that.
I think they did that because they don't know who's in the Continental Classic.
Yeah.
I know they have a few people. I know, like
figuring that out
because honestly, like if you put like Beast Mortals in it, he could take losses and it really wouldn't hurt him because all really people care about is what he does in the ring. So like somebody like that, it really wouldn't hurt him. So I think that's why they did that, because he's probably gonna be one of the guys. He's probably gonna be one of the 4 guys in the tournament.
Yeah. We got David who said, "Buddy is on the roids, big time. Dude is huge."
Look, man, I'm not doing that shit.
Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that, Skip. What are we doing?
Yeah. Unless I have actual proof of that, I'm not gonna.
Can't work out. They can't fucking have extreme regimens. They just can't do it.
Nope.
Yeah.
All right. It's time to talk about the main event of 0 Hour. The main event of this godforsaken show. Big Boom AJ with Big Justice versus QT Marshall with the Rizzler as the special guest timekeeper and no BS Paul White as our special guest commentator. Paul White came out with the Rizzler. Why did the Rizzler get a bigger ovation than Paul White?
Because nobody.
Well, I know why. It's
Marshall came out with security guards. AJ came out with Big Justice, high-fiving everybody like he's a 1980s babyface. He took some heat from Marshall. The match really got good when we get some "We Want the Rizzler" chants, which was quite hilarious. We get a big spine buster by AJ. AJ goes to the top rope. He hits a diving clothesline. He even hit a superplex at one point. QT hits him with the diamond cutter and he kicks out. We get a distraction of the referee from one of the security guards, and Big Justice comes in. And this 12-year-old gives us a great spear. Great spear for 12 years old. Anybody else hit that spear? I would be like, man, it's Jey Uso. But for a 12-year-old, that's really good. That's really good. He hit that spear perfectly.
That takes a lot of courage to do, man. That takes a lot of courage, man.
And then Big Boom AJ hits the power boom for the 1, 2, 3. Big Boom AJ picking up the victory here over QT Marshall with his son Big Justice and the Rizzler celebrating the victory. All right, so I'm not of the TikTok kind of age group or age bracket or TikTok fandom. I did not know of the Costco guys before any of this stuff on AEW television. But my Lord, this dude was so over. With this crowd in Newark. They were popping for this more than they did championship matches on the main show. And yes, it helps. It was early on in the show. And yes, it helps that this was probably the first match that a big amount of the crowd saw. But man, they loved everything of this. It felt like ironically loved it, but I will take that over not reacting to it at all. This was over with the crowd. Big Boom AJ did not look out of place here. You had Big Justice with a spot with a great spear. You got the Rizzler every time the camera was on him. He was hitting the Riz on him. He was doing like N.W.A and shit with the Riz shit. Like, yo, this worked. If it gets them YouTube, viral clips. I saw they had a clip on ESPN YouTube channel because of this. Hey, this is already a success to me. Anything else will just be extra. Professor Kris, what did you think about this one?
Yeah, it was cool, and it was on the Tonight Show as well. So, Like, I think AEW, and don't get mad at me, WWE fans, but I think when it comes to like celebrity involvement and social media involvement and shit like that, AEW really knows how to place these kind of things where it's not a distraction or it takes away from the rest of the show. Like they put this on the pre-show, and I thought this was actually one of the because for the first time probably ever, I sat down and watched the whole 0 hour. And I was entertained by it. And AJ, Big Boom AJ, he was in the media scrum at the end of the night. So I'm guessing TK sees some value in him. I thought it was a good 0 hour. I give this, if I was just judging the 0 hour as a standalone show, I give it like a 7.5 or 8 out of 10. It was really good.
It did what it needed to do. Josh, what did you think?
The match was better than I expected. The crowd, I mean, when I saw like the reaction he got on Wednesday, I kind of knew like that's where it was going with it. And it was good they did it in New Jersey because that's where they're from. The whole thing was entertaining. Like it didn't need to be a great match. It wasn't going to be a barn burner. So I mean, it did its job. People loved it. People ate it up. The right person won. But I also give credit to QT, man. He really not only put the guy over, but he really made like things interesting because he was generating actual heat. Because every time he was doing something, people were booing him. Because even in the ring, when this guy was coming down the ramp, he got on the top rope, and people started booing him. So it kind of just looked like everyone started booing AJ, but they're actually booing QT because QT was the one that was posing. But I mean, overall, I think it did its job. Regardless of what people want to say, like that clip again, their segment from AEW got over 10 million views. Like this was the whole purpose of using them because they're social media stars, regardless of what people want to say about them. But also, like I said yesterday, on a personal level, it's cool to see because I've met them a few times before all this stuff took off, before the Costco guy stuff took off. So, I mean, it was nice to see, he got his big moment and probably his biggest moment in his wrestling career because he did a lot of indie stuff. So this was his first time getting the opportunity for a major company. I mean, overall, I thought it was success. It was great.
Agreed. JJ?
I'm one of the old heads that don't have TikTok, so I really had no idea what was going on. But it, it looked like something that people was enjoying. I didn't hate it, but I was like, I don't really understand it. But it wasn't like bad. It was big. It was entertainment, I guess, for the people that knows these guys. I almost was like tempted to go into the App Store and download TikTok, but I was like, I don't want to consume any more social media. so
you can also see it on YouTube. They got YouTube as well.
I was like, I'll enjoy it for what it is. And it's not something I would like rate necessarily, but it was like, I guess a little fun moment for the end of the hour to get people ready for the show, and it was cool. Like I said, if anything can help going into the show, it helps going into the show. So I wasn't mad at it at all, and the crowd fucking ate everything up. So that was nice to see. At least the crowd wasn't like flat or dead, and they had no reaction to it. They was invested. They was invested, which was kind of like a preview to how the crowd would be throughout the night, because the crowd was. Newark was a good crowd. Jersey typically for wrestling shows are a pretty damn good crowd when they know they got good stuff coming. So they were good. That kind of helped me watch it a little bit more because of how invested they were. Because I had no idea what the fuck was going on.
And this is case in point what we were talking about yesterday. Having a crowd that feels invested into the show live there makes you more invested. Having a crowd that looks bored by what you're putting out there makes you kind of bored watching it at home. That's been the difference
It
between
disconnects
Dynamite the
you.
last few weeks.
It's a genuine disconnection. Like if the crowd's not invested, then it's like, okay, they're not doing something that's relatable. So it's like, how can I get interested? Because I had no idea, but they were interested. So I was like, fuck, I'm gonna keep watching because they ate it up.
And you know, I'll give the match the 3 stars, but that's 3 stars higher than I thought it would be. So hey, give it credit. We got Frantic World. This says call it the Boom Spear. We also got I Make B says this was the first match I tuned in for at nearly 1 a.m. Like this is gonna be a long night. We got Frantic World that said people who don't watch pro wrestling watch this matchup. Probably true. Probably true. We'll see.
And on top of that, this actually won Romeo over because Romeo was not a big fan of them. And then when the kid hit the spear, he was like, how it was awesome. So, I mean, that goes to show you how crazy that is.
This was very much, I agree with what Senior Nerd saying here. It was the most WWE match AEW ever done. But since it was on 0 Hour, I had a lot of fun watching the match. I was indeed sports entertained. Yeah, this was like your sports entertainment matchup. It's a celebrity match. And I think we've all seen worse celebrity matches than this.
Yeah, I think you do on wrestling shows. You do kind of need this stuff. It's just got to be placed right, you know. I remember there was this WrestleMania a few years ago where they announced like all these divas were gonna come back, and then they come back and Kid Rock is playing them to the ring, and you don't even notice the ones that are there, you know, and that was distracting and stupid. I think when you do this kind of stuff on a pre-show, and you give it some semi-promotion and you sprinkle it throughout your other shows, I think this is fine. This is good stuff.
Yeah, this was well done for sure. Rest of 0 Hour was just basically Mercedes Moné and Camille walking backstage where Moné told her heater that it's been embarrassing lately how Camille is pandering for attention. Camille was about to stand up for herself when she held back, and Moné says she didn't ask for Camille to speak so she could stay backstage and see how a real woman gets the job done. Man, oh man, that choice worked out great for Mercedes Moné in more ways than one.
I know, right? It's funny how fast she turned on that girl, man. It's like they just like
it was no type of slow burn on that,
right? Yeah, they just shoot her into okay, I hate you now. Let me bash you publicly.
You know, it's funny, and SRS called it about a week ago. He called it. He was just like, "Hey guys, like, you really don't see what's going on. Like, they turning her face, like they're turning Camille's face." Like he like talked about it as a fan. He wasn't even like reporting nothing. He talked about it as a fan. And then last night kind of proved, because even I said the same thing. I was like, I think they're probably gonna turn her face. I was like, that's kind of the direction they're going.
That's been obvious since Mercedes first like insulted her like 2-3 weeks ago.
Right.
But now it's like more
I don't
noticeable.
think you need to make her into a Bullwinkle villain to make her a babyface.
Right. I think it would have been better if they went the Shawn Michaels Diesel route, where from the beginning you knew Diesel was going to turn into a face, but they didn't. They let it do its slowness, you know. And this feels a little rushed.
Yeah, and then also I think part of it too. I mean, and this was something I did bring up in the chat. It's nothing. Don't quote on me on it, but. You know, she did have some things that she did say on social media that was kind of like eyebrow raising. And maybe that played a part in it too, but I'm not too sure. It doesn't look like it did after last night. That's why I was questioning it too. Cause I was like, like this is kind of weird that she did this and then now this is happening. You know what I mean? It was like too much of a coincidence to me.
Yeah. Timing was weird. We shall see what goes down between Mercedes and Camille. They did play the great full November Rain hype video for the show. I was like, That's how you sell a pay-per-view. And then they did the entrances for the 4-way AEW World Tag Team title matchup. And that was our opening match on the main card. Private Party defending the AEW World Tag Team Championships against the Outrunners Turboy Floyd and Truth Magnum, the Acclaimed Max Caster and Anthony Bowens with Daddy Ass, and the Kings of the Black Throne, Malachi Black and Brody King. During the entrances, the Acclaimed and Max Caster, oh my God. I was like, I understand where you guys are trying to go, but you have to kind of go all the way with this, because they had Max Caster basically use like homophobic terms as insults, which seemingly looked like it pissed off Anthony Bowens. And that was the sign of what this match would be, which would be a lot of dissension between the Acclaimed. This was kind of the regular party match. Everybody come in, do a whole bunch of moves, except I didn't think it was as fast-paced that it needed to be. And I thought that there was way too much focus on the Acclaimed out of all these teams. Out of all these teams, I think the team they should have focused on the most is Private Party. And I would dare someone to tell me that they hit more than 5 moves in this whole match. Like, they were not focused on at all. The House of Black, Kings of the Black Throne got a little bit of a moment where they looked like a threat, and then they had Private Party. No, they had the Acclaim and Outrunners jump them. They all do the Scissor Me Timbers to Brody King to take him down. But then we get the Outrunners and the Acclaimed in the ring, and we get Bowens wanting to do the scissor with Truth Magnum, but Max Caster punches him out of the ring, stops the Outrunners. He also broke up a cover for the Outrunners on Total Recall, and this whole entire crowd said, "No, fuck this guy, fuck you, Caster." My God, it was like that. I think it was World's End last year in Long Island, when the crowd just was like, "No, we fucking hate Jericho. He's stale, and we're gonna boo him out the building." That's what this felt like. It felt like people said, "Enough is enough. It's time for a change. We're gonna boo Max Caster the fuck out the building." And that's what they did towards the end of this matchup here. Daddy Ass was trying to give the guys kind of direction. You get Caster and Bowens get tagged in at the same time, which leads to Caster telling Bowens to pin him. So they do the New Age Outlaws gimmick, and this dumbass Rick Knox actually counts the cover, which never makes any sense. Private Party broke up that cover. Eventually, you get Caster who blind tags in Bowens. When Bowens goes for a crucifix and similarly has the pin on Brother Zay, it leads to them going for the mic drop, but Turbo Floyd breaks that up. Floyd and Bowens get out of the ring, and while Caster's distracted with that, Private Party hit Gin and Juice for the 1-2-3 to retain the AEW World Tag Team Championships. It gave me a little bit of the match that I was expecting here, but not all the way. Like I said before, just a little too much on the nose as far as the spotlight being on the Acclaimed, and I still think that Tony Khan believes the Acclaimed are way more over than they actually are. And I honestly, watching this whole matchup, I'm like, just have them turn at the end. Like at this point, why are we dragging this out? Why are we slow burning? Why are you booking this like you're Triple H and you have to slow burn this to WrestleMania? You do not need to do this. Everybody and their mama wants the Acclaim to break up at this point. Just break them the fuck up. That all saying, I gave the match 3.5 stars. I thought it was a good opener to the show, just not as good as I wanted it to be. Chris?
Yeah, I give it probably about 3 stars. Yeah, they had Max Caster throwing those strays at Bowens at the beginning of the match. It was different. I don't know what the plan is for the Acclaimed once they break up, because I not saying that they were changing the world as a team, but I just don't know. One of them is going to get lost in the shuffle, and I don't know which one it is. That's my prediction. I hope neither of them get lost in the shuffle, but the match itself was fine. This wasn't a match I was looking forward to, so I thought was cool, and Private Party won. So at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Yeah. What about you, Josh?
Same. Match was solid. I just felt like they focused a little too much on the Acclaim stuff. Even though I remember in our rapid fire predictions, I did say that. I was like, there's probably going to be something going on between the Acclaim, teasing their breakup, and that's what happened. I just didn't think it was going to be that much of a focus on it. And yesterday was obvious. I'm like, yeah, you should definitely split them up, because with Max, I think Max in general has become very unlikable, not even as a wrestler, but on the outside stuff, because some of his social media antics sometimes could be a little too much. It's just a little too, not the worst, but sometimes it's just, sometimes I just don't understand like what he's doing, and he tends to look worse than he needs to look.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like the whole, when Sheldon Benjamin was
that was stupid.
On his way, I didn't understand like why he did what he did. Especially when you're currently face, it's just those little things. So I mean, when it comes to those two, I mean, obviously I think Bowens is the better one out of the team anyway. I think he could hold his own on the mic. He's a better performer. So I think if they split up, Bowens will be the one that's fine. I think Caster might be the one that's a little. He might be, I don't want to say on the outside, but he probably wouldn't be doing himself any favors. Let's just say that. But overall, I mean, the match was solid. I'm glad Private Party did retain, because I think they do deserve, a run, an actual run. I don't want them to just be a title placeholder. So I'm glad that the right team won.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you could say the right team won. I just wanted them to put over Private Party just a little bit more.
Yeah. And I get it. It's understandable.
JJ?
I might be a little bit lower on the match than the majority. I thought this match really lacked rhythm. It was good in some points, but I just think you guys hit it with the focus on a singular team a little too much when there's 4 teams in there. The Outrunners had their little moment. Like, I just think that they should have paid attention to the crowd reaction a little bit more for how over the House of Black was, the Kings of the Black Throne. Like, they were super over in that arena, and they really didn't have a lot of time in there. So it didn't really feel like they kind of flowed with it that well. Because the Acclaim dysfunction just took too much time. Like, it just took too many moments. Like the unblind tags, the stupid spot with the covering each other, them having dysfunction with Billy Gunn trying to direct them. It just it took too much for me. And Private Party, I wanted to have them as I think Josh literally just said, as far as just having them be a better showcase for being the best tag team in AEW right now, and not just kind of get away with the victory, but actually just win the match. And I didn't feel that. So I'm more 2 3/4 for me, just because I didn't like the rhythm of it too much. The teams in there were all so good, but too much focus on the Acclaim, and this shit with Caster just needs to fucking be over and done with, because just seeing him now is just annoying me. Just what he's doing out there is annoying me. I guess he's doing his job because he's fucking annoying. So I guess he's doing his job to a degree, but it's Jesus Christ, just fuck, man. He just literally kind of took the spotlight away from 6 other guys, and not in a good way. So
yeah,
I just want him to be done with. Fucking turn this man heel and let him fucking shit on people the way he needs to, because at the end of the day, him being a heel is going to be what's best for him, and he'll get the reactions that's going to be fucking organic, because nobody likes this guy right now at all. And I just think that there was too much focus on him. So yeah, I'm glad obviously Private Party did win the match, but I just think that they should have been given a better showcase of them being the best tag team.
No, that's definitely a good point. What do you guys think about the pre-match rap and the fact that he was so kind of like overtly homophobic? Do you think they're gonna make that a part of the story? Because I wouldn't mind it, because I would like it where Bowens is standing up for himself and he's had like enough of it, and he just kind of does like a work shoot on Caster, saying that you're saying all this homophobic stuff. Like, how does that make you feel? I believe Alex of Sour Grap said that yesterday on Fightful Select, and I really like that approach because it would be something different, something that WWE wouldn't take as an approach for a character, and never did when they had someone like Darren Young under contract in the past. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I think WWE is into this day. They're trying to appeal to the fucking MAGA crowd. I mean, I think it's obvious now. Triple H and Stephanie were in that photo with Don Bongino.
Yeah, that was fucking yeah.
Yeah, what the fuck, man? There's enough plausible deniability in that photo with Triple H and Steph not looking at him at all. But you could clearly see him back there like cheesing and whatnot. It is what it is with Caster. The homophobic stuff, I don't know, because it's like you've been this guy's partner for, I don't know, 20 years, whatever the fuck it is. And you're just now discovering that he's gay, and now you're making these cracks. It seems a little too on the nose and dumb, but whatever breaks these fools up, I don't fucking care, man.
I think we're all at that point that we're just like,
them.
they just need to break out.
Yeah.
You don't want to get to a point where it's just like fatigue and it just doesn't hit the same.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. What do you think, Josh?
I don't mind it if Bowens is 100% on board with it. I know he's very open about his sexuality. Obviously, he said it on TV already, but even before that, he was always very open. You know, like when he came out, people were very supportive of him. As long as he's okay with it, you know, and there's some kind of agreement of where they're going. It shouldn't be a problem, but at the same time, you know, when you kind of cross these kind of lines, obviously you're gonna upset, you know, the community when it comes to that. So I think that's one thing they just gotta be careful with.
I feel with
AEW,
it's more likely you piss off someone not in the community who just doesn't like AEW more than the actual.
Honestly, and then honestly, that would be like their way of trying to, like, you know, obviously they're trying to grift off of it, trying to say, oh, AEW is a bad place because they're promoting this, even though you're gonna have a gay man in the storyline who's gonna probably co-sign off of it. So that alone, I think it's gonna be funny when people are gonna try to use that argument, because obviously, like, you really think they're gonna do something and force Bowens to do something that he's not gonna want to do? Like, that's not how AEW operates. They don't force people to do storylines. We've seen the other side of the spectrum where, hey, we had the storyline for you. Oh, I want to do it. All right, we just can't use you on TV. So regardless, it's gonna be a funny argument when people try to make that.
And you know they will.
Yeah. I mean, you want to have it become like a good storyline and not him like drag this fucking like subliminal shots out there for 3, 4, 5 more weeks.
Right. Yeah.
And then it just becomes like distasteful and just becomes stale and then becomes hated. And then all of a sudden it just completely backfires and it goes the way that you did not intend to it. Just if we're gonna do it, just get it done. Just do it. Just like, you know,
the right way.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, I also wouldn't want them to be the focus. Like, I don't want that to be like the main focus of why
in
the
social media. It will be like
it
will be a segment of people that will focus on that. But you know, that's the internet in 2024. You know,
also,
you know, you can't take anything in storyline and know it's fucking entertainment and be like, oh, he really hates these people. Like, oh my God. Like, y'all just been calling wrestling fake and fucking stage for 50 plus years. But now you have a guy that is for entertainment purposes, you know, taking fake jabs. Now all of a sudden it's real. Like, make up your fucking minds on what it is.
Backstage, they talk to Orange Cassidy, does Lexi Nair, and he says that tonight AEW sends a message back to the Death Riders. Private Party proved a point when they won the AEW World Tag Team titles, and they all need AEW. Tonight, Cassidy shows that AEW doesn't need Jon Moxley. He takes everything the AEW World Title represents, and he puts it in his backpack and out of his briefcase to become the new world champion. That led into our second match of the evening, MJF going one-on-one with Roderick Strong. MJF gets the big superstar entrance, the Thank Me Later banner, big reaction from the crowd. He quickly bailed to the outside at the bell because he realized he was getting cheered too much. And he's like, I got to get my heat. MJF said the people like Strong because he's just like them. White trash, and he asks if he offended the dumpster fire of the world, New Jersey. While he was out shooting movies, Strong's mother was busy shooting his daddy. Strong went after MJF and tried to chop him against the pole, but MJF dodged, and Strong smacked the steel, and that became the focus of MJF throughout the matchup. He would go after the fingers and the hand and the arm, trapping Strong's fingers between the metal of the buckle before hitting a power bomb on the edge of the apron. MJF's chest was beat red though, as Strong started hitting him with some hard ass chops. Hits him with a half knuckle backbreaker. We get a jumping knee strike in the corner that hit MJF flush. We get an ankle lock, which gives Strong a near fall. MJF tried to answer with the heat seeker, but he was sent flying outside of the ring. He tried to mock Adam Cole and tried for the Panama Sunrise, but Strong reversed that into another backbreaker. He tried to sink in a Texas cloverleaf, but the work on the hand wouldn't allow him to get the grip. MJF got the rope break, but that got both of them up, and Strong hits an end of heartache. MJF is able to get his foot on the rope. He tries for another end of heartache. MJF gets a roll up, only gets a 2 count. We get a torture backbreaker by Strong. We get the gut buster and the sick kick, another end of heartache, but MJF's able to reverse that to a vertical drop brain buster. We get both men down. Strong drapes his left arm over MJF, only gets a 2 count. MJF quickly sinks in the salt of the earth armbar, and Strong quickly taps out. The finish came out of nowhere. Post-match, we get MJF grabbing a chair from ringside. He puts the chair around Strong's arm, and he Pillmanizes Roddy's arm until Adam Cole finally comes down to make the save. He's quickly joined by Mike Bennett and Matt Taven of Undisputed Kingdom. They go and check on Strong while Cole is completely distracted with MJF. He's just staring down at MJF. He doesn't leave the ring and run after him or anything. He's just staring down, just obsessed looking at him. Kyle O'Reilly finally joins the crew who are checking on Strong. Finally, Adam Cole breaks his stare at MJF to check on Roddy, and Kyle wants none of it. Kyle shoves down Cole, screaming that Cole was too late and saying that you should have been here. Why are you not running after MJF? Why do you even care? I told you this would happen. O'Reilly helped Strong to the back as Taven and Bennett left with Cole. So some undisputed drama in the post-match here. The match itself was good to very good, but on this show, it probably was arguably one of the worst matches of the night. Because good to very good on a card like this and on an AEW show in general is probably going to be among the lesser matches on the show and not the greater. I think on any other show, this would get 5 more minutes, which would take it to the great level. I feel like the thing that really hurts this matchup is how quick the finish happened, because it felt like they were on their way to hitting that third gear and really turning it up just when it got going. And it took them a while to kind of develop their chemistry here. But I gave the match 3.5 stars. Top guy JJ, what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think this was right. I didn't have I don't know. I didn't have like the highest expectations for this match, but it did deliver in some aspects. Like this one did have a good back and forth. There was obviously, MJF, making sure the crowd gives him heat, which is kind of why I didn't understand like why Jersey wasn't giving him heat. The motherfuckers from Long Island. Like,
know, right?
like, what the fuck are we doing, Jersey? Like, do we not know that he's from a different part of the city?
They're like, East Coast, we accept you.
Yeah, it's like it's like a fucking Met going into Yankee Stadium and he's fucking getting cheered and fucking loved. Like, no, he's not from this part of the town. What the fuck you talking about? Y'all cheering him like he's one of ours. He's not.
I'm guessing a bunch of Long Islanders were.
Yeah, he's like, the fuck are y'all idiots doing? I'm not from here, you idiots. So,
like, boo me.
He flipped that. Like, I love how quick he did that. Like, he did that shit in the first minute. Like, he's like, nah, kill that noise, B. I ain't from here. Like, and then the match was really solid. Like, it was really solid, but I do agree with how sudden it just finished because it get to that point where you start to get the counters and the dramatic spots and things is going to start to materialize, and then Roderick is going to look like a threat to possibly win the match, but that just never happened. What the fuck was Adam Cole doing? Like, what the fuck was he doing? Like, he's at the fucking Gorilla watching this shit on the screen, so you don't tell him to hit my music as soon as he starts to put that motherfucker's arm in the chair. Like, you let him execute this shit, and then you fucking come out? Like, what kind of friend are you, bro? Like, what kind of friend are you? And then, I was on Kyle O'Reilly's side this entire fucking time. Like, you motherfucker, if you are not going to sit there and chase that motherfucker and beat his ass, the fuck you just staring at him for and not checking on your boy after you was already fucking 3 minutes late to the party? Like this was just a Adam Cole blunder. And I was all for the reaction that he got from his buddies because, like, the fuck are you doing, bro? Like, you come out here mad late and then you fucking don't even tend to the motherfucker that just got his arm shattered. Like, nah, yeah. I was on Kyle O'Reilly's side that whole time. I was feeling that energy. The fuck are you doing, Adam Cole?
He couldn't get the brain power to his brain because, like Fitzgerald said, Adam Cole had PTSD. He had to really concentrate while running down that ramp. He did not want to happen. What happened?
So they hit the music 3 minutes earlier, so then you could get over that PTSD and then fucking prepare yourself and then slow jog the shit. You know how much time in between the fucking bell and that arm shit happened? Like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? Like, and you supposedly hate this guy. You can't wait to get your hands on him. But it took you 5 additional minutes after the bell rang to come out? Nah, bro. I ain't hearing no excuses.
Kris, what did you think?
Yeah, I'd love to say I disagree with Top Guy JJ, but I don't. This is very convoluted, and I do hope AEW cleans up shit like this by the time they get to Max in January, because they're gonna be in front of their biggest audience potentially. I don't know for sure if they're going to be in front of their biggest audiences ever, but that Max thing is a big deal, and shit like this is just not compelling. Adam Cole stuff, both him, I gotta get this off my chest because it's been bothering me for some weeks, probably some months. Him and MJF, man, they need to chill on that spray tan. They really do. And I don't like talking about people's cosmetics like that, but my God, man, how much of that shit can you spray on? It was the match like both of you said, the match was fine. The post-match stuff was silly, and like I don't know why it took Adam Cole like that long to like, because MJF was like setting up the chair. You know, it wasn't like
this shit took time.
Yeah. It wasn't like it was just all of a sudden thing that it was just too quick. It was like Adam Cole looked like a complete fucking goof. And they gotta. I'm one of those people that say just break up this whole thing and put these people in new, fresher feuds. But that's just my mood at the moment. Maybe they could find a way to make sense of this shit. But man, I really did hate this post-match stuff. So, and I don't know if I was supposed to hate it as much as I hate it, you know.
That's a good way to explain it. Josh, what did you think about this? Everything that went down in the post-match and the match itself with Roddy and MJF?
The match was solid. I do agree that it should have been a little bit longer. But you know, it is what it is when it comes to that. I didn't expect Roddy to win anyway. But it's a solid match, and then everything after the fact. I mean, look at him. He showed up late. What was there to really defend? Like, showed up late. Like,
Showed up late.
You can't show up late for your friends, man.
He showed up late, and like I mean, hopefully they build off of something like that, because I'm just like, bro, you got your arm crushed, and then that's when he shows up after. Like, was he just waiting for the shit to happen? Like, I'm like,
yeah, that's what it's like. It's like, let me let it happen and then run out there, man.
Like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Like, yeah. So I mean, obviously they're using that to build up the O'Reilly stuff, because they have been focusing on that a little bit more too. So I mean, on one side I get it, but it makes Adam Cole look like a fucking idiot. Like, so I mean, hey, if that's what was the goal is, I guess they reached it, because I mean, I don't know. I mean, I found it funny more than anything. I'm not gonna lie to you, because I laughed, and I told Wendy that I laughed. Yeah. She's like, so funny. I was like, he fucking showed up after the fact. After he got his arm crushed, he shows up. I was like, that's funny, because I was like, because he looks like a fucking idiot. Like, that's what made it funny.
Fire Driver Finisher says arm and soul crushed.
Yo, moral of the story is that Adam Cole let Roderick Strong down again.
Right.
Again.
And the thing that annoys me the most about this is I think they could have did the Pillmanizing thing in a way that wouldn't have made Adam Cole look as stupid. The fact that MJF was out there like it was almost like he was teasing somebody come and run in, and it took him like a good 2 minutes, it seemed like, to set it up. And Adam Cole waits that long to come out there and help out his boy, man. Like, what the fuck?
People looking at Cole kind of sideways today. Like they're like, yo, bro, what type of friend are you? Were you really trying to be there for your friend or not?
He's the Rey Mysterio of AEW.
Even the crowd, when his music hit, it was more like a oh instead of a yeah. Like, oh, now you show up?
Yeah. It's like, thanks for showing up, friend.
Now you show up? Like, the fuck, bro?
Hey, he's got ankle problems, guys. He couldn't get down there fast enough. All right. This is what we usually talk about. Josh and Kris know about this because they've been on a couple of these pay-per-view reviews for AEW. This is the stretch. The stretch of the night when AEW starts running off banger after banger after banger. Great match after this match exceeding expectation. This match exceeded expectation. This is the stretch of this pay-per-view, starting off with the TBS Championship up for grabs. Mercedes Mone defending against Kris Statlander. I said this. I said, look at Mercedes' career. She is the greatest example of the match to build retrospective.
Yeah.
People 3 years later, when you ask 10 people in a line, or 10 wrestling fans in a line, what do you remember about Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair? Everybody and their mama, probably 9 out of 10, would definitely say they remember the WrestleMania 37 first black woman to main event WrestleMania. Then the 10th person will probably say they remember the awful build with Reggie. Because the match was so great, no one really remembers the awful build. 3 months later in AEW, people will not remember that Britt Baker and Mercedes Mone had a very good build to All In. But they do remember that the match was disappointing. The match was below par for what they did. Whatever the match does really dictates how people remember these Mercedes Mone feuds. And I think we got our latest example. And I think Mercedes reminded everybody that she's still one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time. She did that here against Kris Statlander. Statlander came out strong, using her power advantage out of the gate, turning a vertical suplex into a press slam with ease. She hits a rolling senton into a standing moonsault before Mercedes goes to the floor. Statlander went to the suplex on the floor, but Mercedes went to the eyes and hit a wild-looking step-up Hurricane Rana off the apron. And Meteora followed off the apron as well. Monet demanded a count-out win. Baseball slide sent Statlander into the announce table. Mercedes checked her into the steel steps and then hit a Meteora into the steel steps. A third Meteora back in the ring gave her a 1-2 kickout, leaving Monet very furious and screeching at the referee, Aubrey. I will say AEW did an excellent job of the zoom-ins on Mercedes Mone.
In after every
the Mercedes Mone facial expression
right?
elevated this whole matchup. In an oddly effective counter, we get Monet, who turns a Statlander powerbomb attempt into a neck breaker variation for a 2. When it seemingly looks like it's like a botch move, but it still looks like a great counter, you know they're cooking. At this point. We get a
great counter.
We get a sunset flip into the corner. It led to a 4th Meteora double knees in the corner with Monet getting a 2 count. Statlander threw Monet aside off a tornado DDT attempt. Monet once again tries to go for a Meteora, but Statlander catches her in mid and catches her on the Meteora, keeps her in position, and then power bombs her into the corner. I was like, yo, Statlander is different. She is different. Snap power slam from Statlander, who hit a series of corner charges until she hits a chaos theory and tosses Monet on the German suplex. Monet gets her foot on the rope on the cover. Statlander tried pulling Monet up, but the momentum saw Monet leap up and turn into a crucifix bomb. She gets the statement maker locked in, but Statlander is able to get out of the ring. Monet, when she gets back in the ring, hits a backstabber for a near fall. She hits yet another Meteora. This was probably the most vicious of the matchup. That only gets her a 2. Statlander caught a charging Monet with a discus clothesline. She hits a F5 for a close near fall. Statlander tries for the Saturday Night Fever, but Monet swung out of it into a spike DDT, only getting a 2. At this point, the crowd's going crazy with the "This is awesome" chants. You get Monet with the 3 amigos. She goes to the top rope for a frog splash, but Statlander gets to her feet, catches her in midair, and hits an F5. I was like, oh man, that was great. That was the best near fall of the matchup. Statlander goes for an 450, but the work on the injured leg comes back to haunt her when she crashes and burns. Monet targets the knee. No one does limb work quite like Mercedes Monet, where it just looks like she is so desperate to hurt you and just like scratching, clawing at the knee. She hits a frog splash onto the knee. She hits multiple backstabbers, hits the moneymaker, which looked great this time, and only gets a 2. The crowd goes crazy. They're like, oh shit, Statlander's gonna do it. Statlander's gonna do it. Both ladies try for pin attempts. Statlander looks like she's hitting all the combinations, gets her into a nice position for the Saturday Night Fever. But once again, Monet, like a desperate cat, just scratching, biting at the knee. She gets out of it. She jumps on the bottom rope, swings out of it into like a 619 setup into the middle rope, and then she rolls up Statlander. Statlander kept kicking out of any pin attempt, so Monet, the smart wrestler, says, I'm going to get you in a pin attempt you can't kick out of. 1, 2, 3. Mercedes Moné retains the AEW TBS Championship in one of the top 5 best women's matches in AEW history. This was absolutely fantastic. It was like Mercedes went in there with Kris Statlander and was like, oh my God, I found my new favorite wrestler to wrestle, because this was just everything that Mercedes does well. It just looked even better with Statlander. Statlander's power went so well with Mercedes Moné's ability to sell anything like she got shot by a gun. Mercedes' facial expressions were just otherworldly throughout this matchup, where you felt the desperation, you felt the sense of urgency early on in the matchup all the way through. This match nearly goes 20 minutes. It's the longest AEW women's match in company history. And Mercedes, this was so needed. This is like an all-star player who has a couple of games where they're shooting like 30, 40, 30, 35, 20% from the field, and then they come out and they're hitting everything. This was Mercedes with her bounce back game here where she needed it. 4.5 stars. This is one of the best women's matches of 2024. Josh, what did you think?
It was a great matchup. Both of them worked very well together. And, even the finish, I thought the finish was maybe a little bit off, but because the match was so great, I'm glad nobody's really focused on that, because I think we tend to do that with Mercedes matches too, where like she has like a good stretch and then something happens and then people focus on that. Like we kind of had that with when she wrestled Sheeta, where the match was good for the most part, and then that last 5 minutes happened, and that's all people really remembered, unfortunately. But this one, you really didn't have that. You really didn't have any like really sloppiness. You really didn't have any mistakes. And it was a great match. I really thought Statlander was gonna win, but there was something that was telling me, I'm like, nah, I think Mercedes is gonna retain.
I was convinced I convinced myself Statlander was going to win when she went for the Saturday Night Fever the second time.
Yeah, I thought she was going to win, and once Mercedes like did the knee thing, I was like, oh shit, I thought that was good. Like it makes Statlander look good because she quote unquote didn't get like a clean finish. You could say like a clean, she didn't lose clean per se, because the story was a Kearney, so she used that to her advantage, and that's how she won. So it made sense, like the way they did it. I don't think it really hurts us. I think if anything, it kind of convinces me more that I'm like, oh shit, she's probably gonna end up beating her for the title at some point. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing for Statlander because, with her, we did question about like the heel to face turn, because I thought she was doing great stuff as a heel, and then all of a sudden the switch up just happened, and we kind of got like an explanation, but I'm just like, damn, like I kind of wanted to see more of the heel stuff, but she's just as good as a fucking face, so I get it. Now it's kind of like, oh shit, like she probably should stay a babyface for a while, even though her heel stuff was great. So I think this match itself is great, and doesn't hurt Kris at all, in my opinion.
No, she got elevated in this loss. She looked so strong in defeat, and that it took Mercedes.
Sometimes I said that's what you got to do. Sometimes, sometimes what people don't realize is that like if somebody is in a championship match, all they got to do is show the fuck out, and then still lose. As long as you show out, nobody cares about the result. they're gonna care about like, oh shit, this person is good. That's how the push happens, because we've seen that time to time for a lot of people where, you know, there's a matchup, we're like, oh shit, they're probably not gonna win, but then they have such a fucking great performance that is like, oh shit, like you wanted them to win. So like your mind changes because of the match itself, but then you kind of realize like, oh shit, like maybe bigger opportunities are gonna happen. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But for Kris, I think she's proven herself enough. Like she's one of the top women in the company, and I think she's done enough work that, you know, time to time, I think she's proven that already.
And they literally just did this last month with Private Party. Private Party had that showing in Defeat that elevated them to the point where now they're the AEW World Tag Team Champions. Kris, what did you think about Mone versus Statlander?
What did you rate the match, Josh?
I mean, I really haven't done any ratings, but I think match was like about 4.5. I thought the women were really good. Good chemistry between them, and I think Mercedes really needed this. So maybe I'm rating it higher than it should be, but she really needed this. Mercedes really needed this. And I will want to point out too that some of the fans, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, I don't understand like the overall, you could say, hatred over Mercedes. I mean, I think it's a bit much. And what I mean by a bit much is that from the stuff that I was hearing yesterday from Jay Kwan, that some people were saying, apparently somebody got ejected for something that they said to her. And I'm just like, guys, what are you doing? Like, what did she do to you that is like you're like so offended by? You know? And it's, I don't know. There's something about Mercedes that I'm like, I'm still trying to figure it out myself. But like, because even when I went to Forbidden Door, there was a guy in front of me who was like upset and he was angry and he's like, oh, why did she call herself the best? You know, she's not the fucking best in the world. Like, there was like somebody legit upset that she made comments in an interview. And I'm just like, bro, like, if this is upsetting you, then man, like, your tolerance must be pretty shit if you got upset over an interview for something that I didn't have a problem with what she said. It's not the worst thing in the world. She's confident. Not fucking wrong with being confident. But there's some people, I don't know.
It is to some people, especially when you're black and a female. So
yeah, and it's unfortunate.
You know? It is what it is. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, shit like that is unfortunate.
Those limp dick.
Yeah, and it's just like, I mean, at the end of the day, man, she's a performer. Who gives a fuck how much she's getting paid? She had every right to get paid what she's getting paid. That shit don't bother me. If it bothers you, then that's a personal problem. That's just weird.
Problem. That's a you problem.
Yeah, that's a weird problem to like why? Like, I don't give a shit. Like, you know what I mean? If she's out there doing her job, by all means, like that's all that should really matter. And last night, she killed it. And I think she still proves that if you give her a good matchup, if there's chemistry there, she's gonna perform her ass off.
Kris, what did you think about Monet and Statlander?
Oh, I love this match. One of the things I love the most about Mercedes is she wrestles this style where she's the little person in the match, but her wrestling and her reputation just is so much bigger than she is that she always comes off as the giant in the match. And she can make Statlander come off like the underdog, and that's a very unique and awesome skill to have. I actually love the ending of the match. I really did. There wasn't anything about this match that I didn't like. I even liked Mercedes' hair in this match. I thought that was a good choice. I just thought this was a very, very, very good match. I put this right up there as far as the AEW Pantheon and AEW lore. I put this match up there with Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker a few years ago. This was an awesome, awesome, awesome match. This is what AEW needs when they start doing the simulcast on Max. This is what's going to get people to watch. I give this match like 4.75. There was very little I hated about this match. There's nothing I hated about this match. I love this match from beginning to the end. I love the pin. I thought like you were saying, Sid, it was like a desperation pin where it was like, okay, you're not getting up from this. Okay. It was like the exclamation point on the match. So I love this match. And the people that are like complaining and getting mad at Mercedes for saying she's the best. I've been dealing with you fuck nuts for 2 years, 3, ever since she left WWE the first time.
Yo.
You guys graduated.
It's annoying because it's like Sid was saying, it's like you can't be a black woman and think you're good. It's like you have to, like, I think there's this thing with us, not just the women, but the men too, where it's like, if you're black in wrestling and you are not satisfied with the scraps you are given, you are ungrateful. So yeah, fuck those people. This was an awesome match. This was a great match, and hopefully we'll see a lot more of these from Mercedes. But I can't say enough good things about this match.
JJ?
By far, my favorite Mercedes match outside of WWE, by far. This was one of those matches that's it started off at the feeling out process, comfortable process, and the let's go all the fuck out process. This shit had everything in between. Methodical wrestling, spots, had targeted classical wrestling too. Like, one of the moves that I absolutely loved during the match too was the direct frog splash right into the bad knee. Like it was this was so well done. And this is the case. This is what, to me, puts somebody like Mercedes in such a high class of women's wrestlers, is that once she finds a dance partner that she is comfortable with, nothing is off limits.
Right.
Nothing is off limits. And Kris is comfortable enough to go no limits with her. And that's a big kudos to her, because obviously there's a massive size difference there between Kris and Mercedes. And to put yourself, when you're that much bigger, to put yourself in such a comfortable space to just trust her and let each other cook, it just makes everything flow so much better. To me personally, this was one Kris Statlander like threat flurry of like near falls for it to be a 5-star match for me. Like,
I think if Kris hits the Saturday Night's Fever and Mercedes kicks out, that's that next level that they got to.
Threat, that one threat of a finish. But that's the only thing that didn't happen for me to give it 5 stars. I'm right there with Kris, and I'm giving this 4 3/4, because there is nothing about this match that I did not like. The finish to me was fantastic, because the only reason that there would be any questions about the finish is because you didn't want the match to end.
Yeah, I know, right?
That good. Like, oh my God. Like, we talked about it during True Hill Heat. Like, I was not really looking forward to much of the card. And this shit just was like, all right, I'm ready for this fucking pay-per-view now. This shit got it started for me. This was the one that got it going for me. And this was like, oh shit, like, if this is going to be the route that AEW is going to start to take, this shit is going to tire the crowd 2 hours later.
And nothing after this stretch until the main event survived.
Crazy.
Like this stretch of matches killed this crowd for like 2 to 3 matches.
Yeah, and you even see, even when she's done with the match, you even hear like a couple fans in the camera shot, like, how do you keep doing this?
Right, I heard that, yeah.
And when her music cut out, because it was like a little debunk in her music, the people were chanting CEO.
Yes.
They were chanting CEO.
Yeah.
That's a respect given. That was a respect earned. Because she ain't get that when her music came out to the introduction. That shit was just normal. But she got it at the end, and that shit was well deserved. And my God, like nothing but respect to both of them, because this was obviously Mercedes' best performance in AEW, but it took Kris Statlander to match that level to get there. So this was, to me, also my favorite Kris Statlander match in AEW. Period.
Yeah, mine too.
I think it's still second to Willow.
I mean,
the Willow match at all. No,
Yeah,
I know that's your opinion. But I would say this year we've probably had 3 of the top 5 greatest AEW women's matches. Between this, the Willow and Statlander matchup, and Toni Storm versus Mariah May at All In, those are in my top 5 women's matches in AEW.
This is seriously contender, like, in thinking about match of the night. Like, just because not only was this match that great, is how much it over exceeded expectations. Like, this match had no business being this great. This match had no business being this great, and it was a show stealer.
It definitely was. And to follow that, it was like, how do you fucking follow that? Oh, we got Switchblade Jay White versus Hangman Adam Page. And I'm less like, all right, these two guys, I know they're 2 of the best. They're 2 of the absolute best. They know each other so well. They're going to go out here and they're going to have a great match. But I did not expect the clinic that we got. This was an absolute pro wrestling clinic when it comes to counters, reversals, selling, and limb work. Oh my God, this felt like it was picked right out of Bret Hart's mind. Like, Bret Hart is the person that put this match together.
This match.
Page wasted no time sending White over the top rope to the outside. He immediately starts targeting White's ankle. He goes after the leg, which it's a reminder that that's the ankle that kept White out of action for three months, which was cool, because all the buildup and the promos going in was all about Jay White taking advantage of the leg injury from Wrestle Dream of Hangman Adam Page that we didn't expect Page to be the one who came in with a different plan of going after the ankle. He posts the ankle. He's wearing down on Jay and zoning in on the leg. It's a slow, methodical attack by Page until White is able to turn the tide, which he went at Page's previously injured leg. The momentum was only brief as Page responded with a fall-away slam into the corner with Switchblade hitting his ankle on the ropes. Page hit another fall-away slam, this time off the second rope for a near fall. Page took too long, and this allowed White to post Page's bad leg multiple times before going up in the corner and hitting a superplex of his own. Both slowly got up and took turns just heaving their bodies at each other, injured body part to cause the double down. The fans really started getting into the matchup at this point. You get forearm exchange turned to a wild series of loud lariats that echoed across Prudential Center. You get White manage a flatliner into a snap suplex. You get Page stumbled up and got a desperation pop-up powerbomb, and both men were down. Page went for the Deadeye on the apron, but White escaped and hits one of the loudest and most brutal half-and-half suplex I have ever seen on an apron. Like, Page folded his neck on this goddamn apron. White followed with another one on the floor towards the ramp. Instead, he breaks the count of the referee, Paul Turner, and then tells Paul Turner, come with me. He tries to hit the little drop down on the knee on the ramp that he did at Wrestle Dream, but Page is ready for it. He pushes White off the ramp into the barricade. He then traps his ankle in the barricade and boots it the same angle that he tried on Dynamite a few weeks ago. We get Page booted it, and then he applies an ankle lock on the floor. The referee's like, get back in the ring, and he's like, no. He keeps on the ankle lock until he gets to the count of 9. He pulls him back on his ankle so he can't get back in. But it was so smooth how he did it. He just slightly puts his head back in, but then waits on the apron for Jay to break the count so that when Jay breaks the count, he's in the middle of the ring and he's set up for the buckshot. But White is ready for it. He goes for a flatliner. It gets blocked with the elbow to the head. He counters into another ankle lock while rolling through. This sends Page to the apron when he got dragon screwed by Jay White. Big time Uranagi by White gets a near fall. He goes for the Blade Runner, but Page once again goes for the ankle lock. White is able to reverse that into an inverted figure four. Page gets to the ropes. We get a great series of reversal where White goes for the Uranagi, gets elbowed in the face. He goes for a half and half, gets elbowed in the face. He fakes for the half and half, ducks the elbow to the face, hits a Uranagi. I was like, this man is the master of counter wrestling. This is ridiculous how smooth these guys were going at it. We get Page hits 2 dead eyes, but White is able to kick out. Page gets thrown to the outside. He skins the cat. He tries for the buckshot lariat. White nearly countered into the Blade Runner, but Page goes into an ankle lock again. White reverses the ankle lock into the Blade Runner. 1, 2, 3. Jay White wins. I did not expect that to happen, but what it did, I was like, yes, this dude owns fucking Hangman. I think that this is the closest gentleman sweep in modern sports history. I have never seen a 5-1 series as close as this. These two guys know each other so well, but this was an absolute wrestling clinic, and I thought it would be hard-pressed for them to match or even come close to what they did at Wrestle Dream, but they damn sure did. I gave this 4.25 stars, an excellent matchup here. Post-match, you get Jay, who's just bragging, all cocky, mocking Hangman, telling him it's 5-1. And this pisses off Hangman so much that he attacks Jay White from behind in the entranceway. This brings out Christopher Daniels and officials, which Page dropped Daniels and walks to the back until the officials help Jay White to the backstage area. But great match here, and I feel even better about this matchup and what I thought coming out of the main event and seeing that these two guys were also involved there. But that's how you follow a great match, because they literally paced this to perfection. They started off slow, they worked their limbs, they set up the story of the matchup while the crowd was still recovering from Mone and Statlander. And then once we hit like the 10-minute mark, they just went balls to the wall, reversals, great wrestling, great pacing, the fast pace of it all. This was excellent. Josh, what did you think?
Oh, it was a great matchup. I know last night in the chat, somebody was disagreeing. Somebody said these guys have no chemistry. I'm just like, you must be watching. You must be watching the wrong match, because I don't know, man. Because I don't know what you seeing. You must be blind or something. Because yeah, somebody did say that. Yeah, but the match was great. They've the opposite of that person. I think they do have great chemistry. They constantly show it. But then also the storytelling within the match, right? People want to complain that, AEW doesn't do storytelling. This is a perfect example of storytelling, because, Jay White is still using the ankle that put him out for months. Like, he's still using that. And, Hangman was working it all night, and, that was great. And then also just Jay White owning Hangman at this point. Especially the way he does the switchblade, where he does it out of nowhere. It's like, God damn. Like,
the Blade Runner? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, the way he just catches them is like, yo.
So flush.
Yeah, it's crazy. But this is a good feud for Jay White. I know people been wanting more for Jay White, right? And I'm one of those. I'm like, yo, this man is a world champion caliber talent, and I stand by that. But this is a good feud, because it's not like he's facing a bum. Like, he's facing
right.
Hangman is one of your top guys. Not only the top guy, but he's one of your former champions. Right? So this is a good feud for Jay White, especially for somebody being out so long. And also, I mean, this kind of shows that I'm like, yeah, don't do trios again, my guy. Like, this is your star. stay. And I think they've also done a great job with that, because I know that was one of the concerns when he comes back. Like, oh, are they going to put him back in the trios? Like, no, I think they kind of have the formula of the Bang Bang Gang. The three other guys are a nice trio, and I think that team works well together. Like, that's the trio that you need, and you have Jay White being, the leader, being the singles guy, and being dominant at it. And I think they've done some great things when it comes to that. So, hopefully, at least something for Jay White. He's gotten big wins over Hangman. So, that's all we really hope for now. But, ever since he's come back, I think they've used him well. I think this is the best way you could use him instead of just having him on the sideline.
Yeah. Chris, what did you think about Hangman versus Switchblade?
Oh yeah, I thought it was an excellent match. I do like the character of Hangman because
It works.
I think he's turned into this crazy guy to the point where it gets in the way of him winning matches that he should probably have had a better chance of winning, but he's so like crazed and deranged because he thinks all this unfair stuff has happened to him that he gets in his own way. And I think that story, if the right guy, if it's being told with the right guy, it works. And I think Hangman is the right guy. I think Jay White, look, they've got such a packed roster in AEW and in WWE for that matter. But in AEW, they don't have like split rosters for like the Saturday show or the Wednesday show. So there is going to be certain guys that get lost in the shuffle until they figure that out. But I do think Jay White will be in good shape. I think it's just a matter of being patient and him getting hit with the right storylines. But very good stuff by both Jay White and Hangman.
Top guy JJ, what did you think?
I got stuck for like 5 minutes when Josh somebody said that these two don't have chemistry. That might be the most asinine thing that I will probably hear during this entire review.
Right, yeah.
These two literally are the epitome of chemistry. Like this was literally, as SP point, this is like a wrestling clinic. This is literally a wrestling clinic. Like, you haven't seen two guys that literally just targets each other, but then knows how to evade each other's targets and turns them into fucking really solid, like, threatening moves to end a match. And then the chemistry goes into a flurry of sequences that hits a bang of a finisher over, and then I brag in your face, and then you get your ass handed to you after that. Like, this was so good. Like, it just shows that these two work with each other so often. Like, just the trade-offs and the wrestling. Like, this was such a good, like, turn from what we just watched maybe 20 minutes ago. This just went from just like a modern classic catch can wrestling match with the counters and the spots and just how these two maneuver with each other is just so fluid. Like they're doing it not with like class. They're doing it like they don't like each other. So it's coming off angry. So this was so well done. Like I loved watching these two. I just personally wish that it was about 3 to 5 minutes longer. Like, I just wish that they had a little bit more time to keep cooking, because it was just that one of those. It's like, yeah, damn, he hit him, but it's like, shit, I wanted more. But
and it was just short of 20 minutes. It was 19.
Yeah, it for that to be almost 20 minutes and it flew by.
Yeah,
that shows you how good of a fucking match it was.
That means they paced it perfectly because the crowd was resting after Mone and Statlander tore it up. And they got up. They got up by like the 10-minute point.
Right.
Really into this match.
Yeah, this to I don't know. Like as far as for like I obviously I think I like the match prior a little bit more, but this was easy 4 1/4 for me. This to me just this was one of those matches that to me I don't think there was anything wrong with it. This was one of those matches that, listen, we know if they have a major spot on a major show and they're like primed for like title contention or something like that, you know that there's a little bit more that they are going to be able to do, and they're going to fucking pull it all out. And that you know they're gonna go at it again. They're gonna go at it again, and I can't wait for it. This was great. This was great, and to think that these two don't have I don't know what the fuck. You need to go in the dictionary and look up the word chemistry.
It was Kel who said it, by the way.
Right.
I mean, he was probably he probably had like 7 blunts before.
Exactly, he had some blunts. He's been drinking a lot. It's all right. It's all right.
Nah. You know what I said to him? You know what I said to him though? I was just like, hey guys, like I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because he always watches like a pay-per-view like a week later because there's a running joke that he watches stuff late, which he does. Like it'll be SmackDown, he watches it like freaking like Sunday. Like he watches stuff late, so we're like, hey, you know, he's not used to watching stuff live, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
He has it on like a negative 0.5 speed, so it looks very slow and everything. So you know, so now we are at the banger after banger part of the show, and just when you think you saw one of the best women's matches of the year, and then you turn around, you get a wrestling clinic. They put up the graphic, and Will Ospreay's match is next. And you're like, oh, fuck. What are we doing?
How the fuck do you not expect a crowd to be tired after this 90 to 2 hour run that we're about to go on?
But my Lord, this is why, like, I think it was you, JJ, when you asked yesterday, like, who's the star? Who is AEW building to? And, like, I said, fuck all storylines, fuck all everything else. It's Will Ospreay. Because, man, they treated this nigga like he was Roman Reigns for AEW. Like, yo, they said how they started off with Hangman and Jay White, who are 2 legitimate stars. It took them a while to get into things. As soon as they saw the Ospreay graphic, this crowd was the loudest they've been the whole entire night, and they reacted to everything Will Ospreay did. This man wasn't doing the little baby face entrance. They reacted to that.
He did nothing.
You get Fletcher who comes out. He's got a whole new entrance. He says that he doesn't want to die old. He wants to die a king. And he doesn't want to live forever. He wants to die a king. And he has a whole new entrance with a crown. I was like, oh, man. I was going back and forth. Like, I think on our preview, I said that I think Fletcher's going to win. On our predictions yesterday on the flagship, I said I think Ospreay's going to win. During these entrances, I was like, yeah, I think Ospreay's going to win. He looks serious tonight. Then Fletcher came out. I was like, damn, I think Fletcher's going to win. He's wearing white. He's wearing a crown. You can't do all that shit. But, man.
I think you picked Fletcher, bro, on the podcast.
Oh, well, there we go.
I think you picked Fletcher. Yeah. Could you win against me and Chrissy?
We get Ospreay's got like a Punisher style outfit and then a flashy new entrance video. We get the bell rings and the crowd is just going crazy right from the start of this one. As soon as these guys start staring down, the bell rings and they immediately go at it. They waste no time going full speed. We get punches. We get a headlock. We get a couple of takedowns. We get Ospreay sending Fletcher to the outside. He wants a dive, but Fletcher sidesteps it and sends Ospreay into a railing. Both men start trading suplex attempts on the steel steps after Ospreay gets them in position. Ospreay leaps over the steel steps and then launches off of them for a Hurricane Rana. Back inside, you get Fletcher fought back. He spikes Ospreay with the DDT, and then he starts ripping all the kinesio tape off of the neck and shoulder of Ospreay, a big target for Fletcher because of the Tiger Driver 97 from Wrestle Dream. Fletcher wrenches at the neck and he slows things down a bit. He brings Ospreay to the outside. He hits a brain buster right on the floor. Fletcher kept Ospreay grounded as Don Callis on commentary is talking about not caring at all that Ospreay lost feeling in his arm while holding his child. All Callis cares about is Fletcher. We get a flying kick to the neck, led to a draping DDT by Fletcher, the little Randy Orton in him coming out. We get a dragon suplex applied, but Ospreay escapes. He tries a head scissors DDT, but Fletcher countered that into a Michinoku driver. Fletcher missed a corner charge. Ospreay fired off an Aluva kick and then hits a smooth-looking Tiger Twist press, Sky Twister press to the outside. So impressive, even Callis is pulling it over on commentary. We get the Pip Pip Cheerio, phenomenal forearm. Ospreay hits Kawada kicks until Fletcher starts a chop battle. These dude chop the shit out of each other. These chops were fucking echoing across Prudential Center. Ospreay chops Fletcher so hard, this dude is bleeding from the chest. We get Fletcher, who knows the right time to get heat, where he punk fakes the chop and then opts to slap and poke Ospreay in the eye. This only pissed Ospreay off as he hits the cheeky Nando's kick and then a speeding torture rock bomb for a 2. Hidden blade is dodged, so Ospreay connects with the hook kick. He tries for an Os cutter, but Fletcher countered into a neck breaker in midair. We get a massive, so many times. A massive sit-out powerbomb only gets Fletcher a 2 count. We get Fletcher. The crowd is just going nuts at this point, cheering loudly for every sequence that we see in the matchup. Fletcher with a corner charge boot. Ospreay responds with a stun dog millionaire. He finally tries to go for the Oscar, but Fletcher pushes him out. He skins the cat, only for Fletcher to come towards him, where he head scissors Fletcher out of the ring and then stumbles into a tombstone power driver on the floor. It was just crazy how they were doing this. Fletcher beats the count for a count of 9 before getting back into the ring. Ospreay hits a springboard coast-to-coast dropkick. Then the leap of faith gets a near fall. We get Ospreay tries for a couple of different big moves. He strives for a Stormbreaker, but Fletcher is able to get out of that. They start trading big moves. We get a desperation hidden blade for a reset as both men were down. Ospreay goes again and he wants another leap of faith, but he gets crotched down. We get a brainbuster attempt into a Styles Clash. We get Fletcher kicking out of that. Then he annihilates Fletcher with the fucking hidden blade, but Fletcher kicks out. Then, literally, I said at the beginning of the matchup, they set up these steel steps, and they did this perfectly, where they made you forget about these fucking steel steps until the very end, or towards the end of this matchup. You get Ospreay trying for the Stormbreaker off the apron into the steel steps, but Fletcher reverses it into a tombstone off the apron into the steel steps. Ospreay's head connects with the steel steps. Fletcher's knee connects with the steel steps. This gets big holy shit chants. Fletcher told Ospreay that he refuses to win via countout. He wants to show that he's better than him. So they go inside where Fletcher hits him with a leg lariat. Then the reverse tombstone that we're told is called Brimstone. That move looks fucking dangerous as hell. He only gets a near fall on that. Ospreay rolls into a pin attempt where he only gets a 2. He tries for the hidden blade, and it's like Fletcher fucking went Super Saiyan, where he just absorbed the hidden blade, and Ospreay was too weak to hit him with full impact.
So good.
Nothing was behind it. He collapsed in Fletcher's arms. Fletcher no-sells it. He folds him in half with the big clothesline. He then puts Ospreay in the corner. He's talking trash to Ospreay the whole entire time. He hits him with the haluva kick in the corner, brings him to the top rope. Brainbuster on the top turnbuckle. Ospreay sold this shit like he got shot in the head and then fell perfectly as Fletcher pins him. 1, 2, 3. Kyle Fletcher picks up the biggest win of his career, beating former AEW International Champion Will Ospreay in an absolute instant classic. This was, oh my God, superb. Like the only nitpick that I have is that this is a disservice to Kyle Fletcher that he had to do this with Will Ospreay. Because I think if he did this with anybody else, people would be saying, oh my God, we got a match of the year candidate. But because we've said this after every Will Ospreay pay-per-view matchup, he's gonna be negated by all the other 5-star matches Will Ospreay got this year. But this is how you put someone the fuck over. Because I honestly thought they were gonna put him over in giving Will Ospreay a hard matchup. But no, they had a 24-minute barn burner that has the most impactful ending of the night, that he just said, I washed you. I'm better than you. I am that shit. Y'all want to say I'm the future? No, I am right now. I am the present. I am the proto star. Kyle Fletcher is so good. Like the little timing and the experience that he had when he knew when to get heat in the matchup. He knew when to kind of avert their expectations in the matchup. His timing was so fantastic in this matchup. All the compliments in the world to Will Ospreay, but this was Kyle Fletcher's coming out party. This was a star-making performance by Kyle Fletcher. Will Ospreay is Will Ospreay. We expect this from him. We don't expect this from Kyle Fletcher. This was 5 stars. This is a perfect star-making matchup for Kyle Fletcher in every way possible. Post-match, you get Fletcher stood over the fallen Ospreay. Mark Davis came down to the ring to tend to his fallen friend, and Fletcher said they deserve each other as Callis put the crown back on him. And commentary says, in order to become a king, you have to kill a king, and this was Fletcher's shining moment as a single star. Kris, what did you think about Fletcher versus Ospreay?
It wasn't that good. No, it was great. It was awesome.
I was about to say, kick this motherfucker off.
This is a very, very good match. I'm gonna hold my judgment on Fletcher being with Don Callis for a couple weeks. I have to see it in action because I don't usually like when Don Callis manages guys, but like guys that I think Kyle Fletcher have turned into, which is going to be pretty big. AEW has a good problem right now. They've got a bunch of good wrestlers who could be main eventers. They're just going to have to figure out how they want to distribute them on TV shows. Because again, on WWE, you've got SmackDown and Raw, and there's not a whole lot of intermingling between those two shows, like every once in a while, but they're pretty separate. And on AEW, it's like everybody wants to be on Dynamite, and they're going to have to figure that out. But because Kyle Fletcher and Ospreay are those guys, man. This is Fletcher is gonna be a big superstar. I would even say he'd be contending for the world championship by the end of 2025 if they didn't have so many other guys on the roster. But this is a very good problem to have. This was a very good match. And it really, I picked Ospreay to win just because he had lost like, was his last 4 matches maybe. So I thought that he was due a win, but this doesn't hurt him. This kind of, if anything, it gives AEW an extra star to add to their mix. Again, a very good problem to have. This is a very, very good match, man. I can't say enough good things about it.
Definitely blew everything. Like, as far as in-ring work, this was by far the best match on the show. JJ, what did you think?
This was perfect. Like, I mind blown all the way. Like, all I kept thinking after this was over is that this man does not have a championship around his waist in 6 months. He is being injustice. There's a severe injustice being done to this man. Like, this was so good on every possible level, from animosity to pace to purpose to anger to the spots to the flawlessness of all of the counters, the flips, the moves, the intent. Like, the chemistry was almost not going to be even questioned here. The impeccableness of what these two are together and what Will can get out of people is nothing short of extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is, you have in what you have in WWE is you have the cinematic stories and the things that's going to get you gripped in and invested to watch their pro. You are never in your life watching that program are going to get what you just saw last night with those two. Ever in your life will you see a match like that in the WWE, as long as you live. This, if you want to put somebody on to liking wrestling, or if you want to have somebody watch a match, that's the one. Like, this has everything. This has everything. And I usually don't go out the lane of being like, oh, more. I was like, this is 5.5 stars to me. This is to me instant match of the year candidate. There's nothing to pick at this match that I can't say I didn't like. There's not gonna be anything that I didn't like about this match. Like, the way Will elevated Kyle by having him do what he did, and the believable nature of what moves were done to basically kill that king. That brainbuster on the turnbuckle was fucking insane. The tombstone off the apron into the steps was fucking insane. When they were trading those vicious chops, and when Will put his hands behind his back and Fletcher hit that man with a super kick, and 15 seconds later, Will cradles him into the turnbuckle and trades and pops him in the head with a super kick. I'm like, yo, this is so good. Like, this is, I ain't gonna lie, like, this is one of those matches that I would sit here and I don't give a fuck how it sounds. This is one of those matches that you just glaze over.
Yes. It's a glazer special.
This was perfection on a wrestling screen. Like there is not gonna be a damn thing that I'm gonna say about this that was like, I wish they would have done. Like, because honestly, the way this match played out, the right man won. I don't care who I picked. The right person won this match, and it was done so well. This chef's kiss. This was beautiful.
The way they did it, there was no question to me. I was like, yeah, it was the right decision. Even though I had a part of me that was like, I think Will should win because he's the bigger star, but they did it in a way where, like, those last 3 matches that we talked about, the losers of that matchups were elevated. despite losing. Like
Yeah.
all three, Statlander, Hangman, and Will Ospreay here. He just has another great performance. He finally puts over like a new bona fide star for AEW. Where I think the real question is, when does Kyle Fletcher win a championship in AEW? I think that you gotta do it. You gotta do it in Australia. You gotta do it at Grand Slam Australia in February. That's the place. You got to crown him at least by then. But he at least needs to be in the Continental Classic, and he needs to have a strong showing there.
Like, what can you possibly say more about this match? Like, I mean, spoiler alert, this is gonna be the match of the night on everybody's choices. Like, this is like not even close. I'm so watching this again later. I'm so watching this again later.
Same.
That was amazing. I'm
gonna watch this whole stretch. I'm gonna watch this 3-match stretch because this 3-match stretch was outrageous. It was outstanding what these three matches did.
Yeah, if somehow anybody that's watching this didn't see like this show, I urge you to just go out of your way to watch this.
Yeah,
this is the one you gotta find a link, find a friend, watch this. Like,
because this is. I said this over on the Sour Grapes review last night. This is the difference between AEW and WWE. WWE 9 times out of 10, especially with Triple H in charge, all the storytelling will make sense, and there'll be varying amounts of anywhere between boring to exceptional with the storytelling. But it's very rarely that the in-ring is on that same trajectory of the peak of the story.
Right, yeah.
It's very rare you get anything like that. AEW, it can get away with some stuff that is above good storytelling because they have that peak, especially on pay-per-view, where everything they do on pay-per-view is very good to all-time great. One of the greatest matches you've ever seen. So when they have a strong story like this was going in, and then everything works out the way they did, and they put over a new star in the end, there's nothing. This is perfection. This is like I said 5 stars, and I honestly feel like I'm
underrated
like wiping them. Underrated. Yeah, I'm underrating it. I'm underrating because I gave it 5 stars. Like that's how good this was. Where the bottom, the floor is 5 stars for this match.
And what to me, the one thing that just even makes this all better is how much the crowd ate this match up.
Everything. Like, I literally said everything Will Ospreay did, they reacted to. He is the star in this company, and we see it every pay-per-view, the way these crowds react to it.
You hear how loud they were when this man got to his entrance? He didn't do shit. He didn't do anything. And the Ospreay just got louder. He just stood there.
Stood there, and it just got louder and louder. Josh, any comments on Ospreay Fletcher here?
I mean, easily the matchup of the night. I mean, there's not really much to say. I mean, you guys been saying everything, so it's like everything I basically agree with. So it's like, I mean, if I add a few stuff, I would say that, you know, when it comes to Kyle Fletcher, I mean, this is probably low-key one of their best signings, to be honest with you, because, you know, when they signed him as a tag team specialist. Like, there were zero plans for him to have this run, but unfortunately, no, Mark Davis did get injured again. You know, when they signed him, Mark Davis was already injured, and then he came back, and then he got injured again. So, you know, good, you know, lucky for them, they didn't sideline Kyle Fletcher because, you know, like back in the day, that was a thing, like where one tag team person gets injured, then they're both out. You really don't see that a lot with AEW. You know, Top Flight, that's an example. You know, that got attention to Dante Martin. So like when he's out there in the ring, people already know at this point, like he's gonna give it his all. And when it comes to Kyle Fletcher, I mean, not only with the in-ring stuff, but I think character stuff like has really elevated him. because I was worried. Like after that first promo, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was a little worried because I thought that first promo went a little bit too long for my liking. I'm not gonna lie. When he the one where he cut his hair.
Yeah.
And then I was a little worried because I'm just like, damn, you're gonna take away his charisma because he got no damn hair. But I actually did the opposite. I actually gave him more charisma. Like, it's actually unfair. So I'm like, I'm glad that stuff like, you know, I like being wrong at times where it comes to stuff like this, where it's like, I don't know. And then once it actually works out, it's like, oh shit, this is actually really good. You know, that's what wrestling is about sometimes, right? You kind of see where it's going and you're skeptical, but then when it works out, then you look like a genius for it working out, right? You look like the people whoever's involved look like geniuses. So when it comes to Kyle Fletcher, I think a lot of shit has worked out for him, you know. This was no different. But the way he won, I was like, damn, like I didn't know it was gonna be like that.
So convincing.
I was like, what the fuck?
This
This
very much felt to me like Elimination Chamber 2015 when Kevin Owens defeated John Cena.
Oh yeah,
how clean that was, and no one expected it to be that clean. So yeah, we thought there was a chance KO was going to win, but we didn't think he was going to win like that. Like that's how Kyle Fletcher beat Ospreay.
Yeah, and I feel like this is one of the signings that I don't think it really gets talked about, and that's a good thing because sometimes sometimes you just got to put in the work, right? And I feel like the kid has put in the work. So, like now that's a discussion I think you could have was like, oh shit, like maybe he's one of their best signings this year because, he's been working his ass off. And then last night, it's kind of very convincing where it's like, like even yesterday when we were talking about like, AEW not having stars, to me, this is a perfect example of like, it's like, sometimes you need to build up your stars or to see what you have, right? And kind of a perfect example was like, yo, you got something here. Like, he's good in the ring. His talking has gotten a lot better than I expected. So you never know. Like, good things could happen, and we're probably not going to see a lot of the tag team stuff again because of that, unfortunately. But you can still put them in the tag team. Yeah. But, like if that works out, that goes another way, then, it is what it is. But, they got something there. That's a good thing.
1000% agree. Good question here by Alex Powell. He says, which belt should Fletcher win? Emmanuel says he's taken that TNT or international title in Australia. I would like Garcia to get like a nice little run with the TNT title, and then he drops it to Fletcher in Australia. I think that's the way to do it.
He is
because as long as Konosuke is the champion, you kind of stay away from that because they are in the same stable, so that wouldn't make any sense. So I mean, Garcia is the good choice. Even though I'm like, damn, I kind of do want Garcia to have a run. If he has good matchups, if he's a workhorse,
if he's a fighting champion and he has good to great matchups, he'll be fine.
Yeah. By that time, February, I think that's a good stretch, right? If he has a good amount of matches and he drops it, I think that's all you really need from Garcia.
Yeah, man. As we was talking about this shit in True Hill Heat, man, it's like seeing this Kyle Fletcher, reinvention. I loved it because it's like it was giving this man an identity. It was truly separating him from Will Ospreay, because I'm pretty sure, even though it's story shit, but he probably was kind of like, damn, I kind of want to be my own man. I don't want to be another Will Ospreay. I don't want to be Will Ospreay light. And in a month, he completely separates himself. That is not easy to do when you are being carbon copy.
Not only he separates himself, but he separates himself during a feud with Will Ospreay. So that kind of tells you how.
So well done. Yeah, man, listen, and when AEW has they blunders, we hit on them. But this one?
This is one of their badge of honors for 2020.
Yeah, but then also I think Will should get I think Will, in a sense, I think he deserves more credit when it comes to stuff like this. We all know what he could do in the ring, but when it comes to creative, when it comes to knowing the business, I really don't think he gets enough credit because he reads the room, right? When he had this match with Swerve, right? People were kind of questioning, why is it happening now? I don't want Swerve to lose. And Will basically made it clear, like, no, this is a way for me to put over Swerve. Like, he knows the business and he reads the room. And I think he doesn't get enough credit when it comes to that because, you know, I know back in the day, Will, you know, like, he was kind of immature. You know, like, there's things about him that was kind of like you could question it, or things that he would say that's kind of like, damn, bro, like, why are you such a dick? But now you kind of see where he's at now with his life. You know, maybe him having family kind of changed him. So now he sees things differently and he sees the business differently. And I think sometimes, you know, a lot of guys don't get a lot of credit for that. And I think he's one guy who should get credit for that.
That's a hell of a point. Because, you know, when you're that talented, when you're that good, when you are basically levels above everyone else in the ring, you know, that could come with a level of entitlement of you needing to be the guy that goes over all the time because you're just simply better than everybody. And he sees the picture on both sides. So that's a hell of a point.
It's very, very much reminiscent of Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson is the type of guy who always wanted to put over everybody. So is Will Ospreay. And even for all the faults that I've complained about him a lot in 2024, Chris Jericho was always good at that. Of knowing who and being so willing to job to everybody. That's you kind of see in those traits in Will Ospreay.
That deserves it.
Yeah.
That deserves it. Not just because, oh, you think that this guy deserves a shot somewhere. They see something in them and they give them that opportunity by not only earning it in the ring, but then having you go over in a convincing manner. Because putting somebody over and it's not really in a convincing manner, it doesn't really help them. Like to me, for example, I had no real conviction of Solo Sikoa beating Roman Reigns. And I know we're not going there, but it was like, he didn't really deserve that. But this, Kyle Fletcher put that fucking work in that ring and the character development and the fucking effort that matched Will that deserved him going over.
To double down on your point, it matters when it happens. We literally talk about all wrestling on this channel. We did a review for Monday Night Raw. We talked about Monday Night Raw in yesterday's podcast. I would say we spent about 1 minute on Bronson Reed beating Seth Rollins because it did not matter at that point. He lost the match that he should have won. He should have won at Crown Jewel, and him winning off a distraction from Solo Sikoa did nothing for him. It means more that he's in the War Games match than him beating Seth Rollins now because it matters when you do it. When you do it, this was the right spot to do it with Fletcher.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm glad they went this route.
No, man, that was amazing. That was amazing. How the fuck is the crowd not going to be tired after this shit, bro?
And they smartly booked the non-wrestling segment at this point. I think that regardless of my complaints about the segment itself, it was needed. Very well done. It was very well needed at this point to help the people get back into the matchup. I just don't think that this segment needed to be on a pay-per-view. But that's
no. SP, this segment needed to be on the pay-per-view because we needed a chance to breathe.
No, I'm just saying for what the segment accomplished.
I think that's what he means. Like, what
the segment accomplished and what we were expecting. No, it did not need to be on this picture.
I think two things could be. I think two things could be true at the same time, right?
Yeah.
I think it's like this wasn't needed, but at the same time, it kind of was needed because we needed a breather. Because I remember I did feel like that last night too. I was like, damn. So not only a bunch of matches, but we had that great stretch that it was like, holy shit, like what's gonna be next? And then once this came on, I was like, oh, thank God. Let me listen to my.
I swear to God, I said the same shit. I was like, thank God we're getting this garbage because I need to collect myself after that match because we had.
And I mean, honestly, honestly, you know, I don't mind Mina too much, so That's why it really
Yeah, I
didn't
mean, I
bother
don't
me.
mind looking at this segment. I just don't think that it accomplished anything.
It was needed.
really.
Yeah.
But
No,
hey,
it didn't.
This was a good turn your brain off for a quick sec.
Yeah, we got Shirakawa made her entrance. Nigel McGuinness said earlier in the show they brought the boom. Well, now it's time to bring the boo, and he was hilariously cut off by Tony Schiavone. Shirakawa introduced the AEW Women's World Champion Mariah May, who was sporting a big shiner on her eye. As photos of them both were on the stage, and the AEW Women's World Championship was set up. May said that there's not a single woman alive who can touch her. May also said that she couldn't have done this without Shirakawa, as the two toasted champagne. Shirakawa said, long may she reign. Mariah said that it's time to celebrate as the two started dancing until Shirakawa turned her back on Mariah. Mariah was about to deck her with the champagne bottle, but the crowd kind of tipped off Mina. Mina ducks the champagne bottle attempt, and Shirakawa then kicks the bottle out of May's hand, and the bottle immediately shatters on contact. She tackles her. She tackles her off of the stage with a big spear as the two women hit one table and then bounce up into the next table and break through that one. I know that had to hurt. Mina Shirakawa is bleeding from the mouth when she gets to her feet, and she begins to kiss and basically gorge on Mariah May's head as their friendship is officially over. I'm just saying, I think that this would have been a really damn good Dynamite segment.
Yeah.
On a pay-per-view, this is why I said I put up, Timeless Tony Storm returns or not. Because there's no reason to do this segment on a pay-per-view unless it's a return. Unless it's setting up a return. Mina Shirakawa and Mariah May breaking up. I've been expecting this for months. It did not need, and I expected it to be a lot more impactful than what we got last night. So I don't think, outside of needing it to calm down the crowd, I don't think you needed to put this on the show.
Yeah, and I think I did kind of say that yesterday when we were asked, like, you think Tony Storm shows up? I was like, maybe, but then if she doesn't show up, I think it's going to be a turn, which we kind of did get that, but then she, Mariah, kind of backfired of what she wanted to do. So it basically, it kind of went the way that I thought it would. It was like, hey, if we're not getting this, we're probably getting this, and basically that's what we ended up getting. Only just confirms that, hey, we're going to see more of Mina, which I don't mind, like I said before, so yeah.
Mina, give me Mina.
I ain't gonna lie. But at the end of that table spot, I thought, the way they fell, it kind of looked like Mariah might have had I thought she was gonna have a little slip. That would have made the segment all worth it.
He was like, nipple slip, thumbs up segment.
But we had a breather. We had a chance to collect ourselves because this segment wasn't worth a shit. And good, it was needed because people were exhausted.
Yeah.
To be fair, it was needed for that. Kris?
Yeah, this was a worthless segment. It was worthless.
There's nothing to talk about it. There's nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yes.
This division really needs Timeless Tony Storm back.
It was time needed to collect yourself. That was literally it.
That's all it was. Next up, we had the TNT Championship up for grabs. Scapegoat Jack Perry defending against Daniel Garcia. Love the video package for Garcia coming out, which had his mother basically on doing a voiceover in the background. And we saw Garcia with pictures of him, video of him growing up. His mother tells him that he's always been about helping the people he cares about, but needs to realize that it's time to do what's best for him, and she'll be praying for him. Apparently, Perry got free from the warehouse that he was stuck in on Wednesday. So he's here and he's playing mind games early on with the powders and taking a powder to the outside in the early going. A lot of cat and mouse is done. Garcia slammed Perry into the railing repeatedly before booting Perry into the front row. The brief delay of Garcia breaking the count allowed Perry to hit a draping DDT off the apron to the floor. Perry kept Garcia grounded until a Saito suplex gave Garcia some time to recover. It took the crowd a while to get back into this matchup, even with the mini break with the champagne celebration. Probably about like 12, 13 minutes into this matchup, it really felt like they were finally into this and fully invested and behind Daniel Garcia. We get scapegoat Jack Perry trying to play mind games with Garcia. He brings in the TNT championship and tosses it over to Garcia. Garcia actually debated losing it and would have been disqualified, but he gave the belt to referee Rick Knox. This distraction allows Perry to hit a low blow and hits the glass jaw knee strike. But Garcia kicks out to a big pop from the crowd. Perry wanted another knee strike, but Garcia collapsed, and Perry tried it a third time, but Garcia got the jackknife pin. Garcia blocked a super kick. He trapped a foot and hits a nasty-looking power driver to get a 2 count. Mm-hmm. Both men start throwing slaps until Garcia chops the hell out of Perry repeatedly, but Perry just smiled, so Garcia snatches him up, hits another power driver. He then locks on the sharpshooter into the Dragon Tamer with the back-to-back contact. The crowd is going crazy at this point, telling Jack Perry to tap out. And when he finally does, huge pop, the roof blew off of Prudential Center as Daniel Garcia has finally won the big one. He finally wins his first singles gold in AEW. He was celebrating, big celebration, celebrating with the crowd. He grabs an AEW flag and he wears it over his back as he marches to the back. Big win for Daniel Garcia and a well-done story to the matchup. This was another one that was very well done as far as pacing because it started off slow, knowing that the crowd wasn't going to be into the early portion of the matchup. But like I said, once it passes that 10, 11, 12-minute mark, the closing stretch was great in this matchup, and especially the finish where it just felt like the culmination for Garcia. So I gave the match 3 3/4 stars. Kris, what did you think?
Yeah, so I got a lot to say about this. The match was good. I'm going to give the match credit because it was. With as far as Jungle Goat Jack Perry is concerned, I do think they need to go back to the drawing board with this guy. So I'm glad the match happened the way it happened. The right guy won. This scapegoat stuff is a little played out now because the guy that made him the scapegoat, which he isn't even really a scapegoat, but for shits and giggles, let's call him a scapegoat. The guy that made him a scapegoat is in another company. So we need to forget about all that CM Punk shit because CM Punk, until he chokes out a rookie in WWE, he ain't going back to AEW. So let's forget that shit. I'm looking forward to see what Daniel Garcia does with this TNT title. I hope he gets a lengthy reign. If not a lengthy reign, at least a important, memorable reign. Yeah, I just want them to do something new with Jack Perry because I just think that this joke has kind of wore thin. That's just my opinion.
Well, they got to drop it after he got bullied in the build-up to this.
Right. Right.
Fucking dobbed out. He better change something. Josh, any thoughts on Perry and Garcia here?
Solid match. I was surprised that Garcia won just because of that segment from Wednesday. The segment from Wednesday really didn't convince me that Garcia was winning. So when he got the 1, 2, 3, I was shocked. And I was like, oh shit. And it felt good. And I think that's what made it nice too. Like it felt good because I didn't expect it. So it was kind of like it meant something after the fact. I mean, overall, it was a good matchup. Match was well paced. And I saw like a comment from Steven Chambers about the new so it looks like AEW's getting into the new TNT title. They already got that. Last night.
It was last night
in the press conference. He was with the new TNT title. So, and I don't mind they actually do that with the TNT title. If you're gonna do that do it with the entertainment kind of channel belt, right? And I think that it's unique that way. So I don't see a problem with that anyway. With Daniel Garcia, I mean, all you really need is a plain belt anyway, because I really don't know what design you would do for him, because he dances a lot, but then it's like, well, fuck, you gonna put on the belt? So
right. And
I
just found out about this. People collect those TNT titles, so I mean, they got to get the money.
Yeah, it's a different merch opportunity. You make a new, different title every time someone makes their own version of it, so it works.
Yeah, so it's like might as well. I was like, I like the fact that the TNT title is like that, because again, the TNT is representing the channel itself. Channel is entertainment. So whoever wins it, there's like a unique kind of like look to it for each person. I think that's cool. I think that's a nice concept. The design itself is nice. It's a nice design. So it's not like you're taking away from that. You're just doing different colors, different schemes. That's fine. But overall, solid matchup, and a good win for Garcia. I think he really needed this, and let's see where this goes for him.
JJ, what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys hit on the points pretty good. I think this match was perfectly paced. It was that kind of like that slow start to kind of get the people kind of centered back into getting involved in the match again, and then it picked up. It had its moments. Of course, it's you do something to wake the crowd up, which was in turn with those loud chops to get people involved, to get them back involved in the match, get some theatrics involved, get the title involved, and get some theatrics in there. Will Daniel do something stupid to cost himself the match? He doesn't. Low blow, threat. So threats are always good in matches, because it's like, oh, he looks like he's about to actually fucking blow his opportunity. And it didn't happen. And Daniel Garcia, he reached in. He found that thing needed to pull the trigger to beat him, and he locked on that fucking that tamer, and that it looked so good. It looked so good in that sequence when he just back to back, and that looks painful. So the convincing matter of how he won looked really good. I think these two looked good in this match. I think it was really a solid match for the two of them. Very needed for Daniel Garcia. I kind of was on the same page with Kris a little bit, because I was seeing his entrance, like Jungle Jack, Scapegoat's entrance, whatever, right? And something feels like it's missing without the Young Bucks present. So like without the Young Bucks by his side, the Scapegoat entrance just doesn't feel like it's going to continue to fit, because he's by himself. Like, so there's nobody like backing him up. There's nobody like, feeding that ego, feeding that. So he's alone. So now it's almost like, do you have to reinvent yourself again? Because he just spent the last 4 to 5 months reinventing himself. And now he's going to have to, find something again, because now it's like, scapegoat of what? Now, what do you like? What is your story? Like, because now it's this should happen last year, bro. like, you know what I'm saying? So it's almost like you're not really, you're almost like becoming like a bully to a degree, and you're an antagonist now. You're an actual antagonist now. So, but that's for the future. That's to find out later on. But I enjoyed the match for what it was. It took the right amount of time to get started, and I enjoyed it. So yeah, it was like a solid like 3.5 star match for me. So I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah, I think that Alex Pulaski had another good shout where he said that the Scapegoat Jack Perry should join up with the Death Riders, because that pays off with the little interaction that Moxley had with him in the beginning stages of the angle. And it also would work with everything Moxley saying. Why wouldn't he try to recruit the scapegoat of the AEW locker room? The guy who actually is trying to do stuff and make the sacrifices for AEW invite him into the group. And I said that they should probably work it where he's a mole, and that's like the new part of the storyline. There's a mole in the AEW locker room, and John Moxley cuts the promo that is someone that he's interacted with, and it's a mole, and he's working with us, and everybody thinks that it's Darby Allin because Darby is the one who lost his title shot to Moxley. Darby is the one who was taped up and watched what happened to Bryan Danielson, who wasn't involved in any of the angles after that until he just came out of nowhere. So they can make it look like it's Darby Allin, and then in the end, it's Jack Perry. But that also helps the Darby Allin part of the story because then you're making him sting in the N.W.A. angle, and I'm all for that. I'm all for them redoing the N.W.A.
Yeah, as long as they retool him, I think he'll be fine. I just think they do need to find a way to retool him a little bit. He shouldn't be by himself. He shouldn't be alone.
I agree.
Yeah, definitely agree with you as well. We get next up, the AEW International Championship was up for grabs. Konosuke Takeshita with Don Callis defending against Ricochet. Commentary put over how both Takeshita and Ricochet will be performing at Wrestle Dynasty on January 5th. We get the feeling out process early. Ricochet popped off an early springboard crossbody, but Takeshita blocked a tiger fin kick in the ropes and booted Ricochet's head off to the outside. Takeshita connected with a brutal back suplex against the barricade, and he zoned in on the back. That was the body part that he focused on. Takeshita hit a picture-perfect spinning side suplex as he worked over the small of the back, until Ricochet wanted to do another springboard, but the back gave out. And I thought that Ricochet sold that very well with his back giving out. Takeshita press slammed him clear across the ring. Right as Takeshita was about to rear back for his forearm, Ricochet connected with a rolling drop kick and a handspring back elbow for the reset. Ricochet sent Takeshita from the corner to the other corner until this time successfully hitting the springboard clothesline. We get low bridge and Enziguri sent Takeshita to the outside. Ricochet connects with a perfect looking sake special, then hits a 450 splash. He only gets a 2 count there. We get Don Callis leaving commentary to come to ringside to help Takeshita. At this point, the crowd loudly chants, "Fuck Don Callis." Ricochet misses the axe kick. He hits a thrust kick, and then a handspring led to a beautiful counter into the Blue Thunder Bomb by Takeshita for a 2 count. Ricochet blocked the power drive knee, but not the wind-up forearm. Takeshita keeps throwing everything behind his shots. Ricochet floated over a German suplex. He tried for a Katsadora, but Takeshita rode through into a German suplex. Takeshita missed a lariat as Ricochet hit one of his own for a double down. Takeshita crushed Ricochet in the corner and hit a release avalanche German suplex that looked like Ricochet landed fucking right on his head. He then hits him with a lariat, turning him inside out for a 2 count. We get Ricochet starts going on the offense. He hits a Hurricane Rana out of the corner and then follows up with a Poison Rana. It's a beautiful looking shooting star press for a close 2. He goes for the spirit gun. He misses. He tries for the vertical, but Takeshita reverses that into a bastard driver for a 2 count. Takeshita wanted the power drive knee, but Ricochet dodged it into a brain buster and then hit Benadryl for a 2 count. Ricochet once more went to the top rope, but Takeshita once again cuts him off, crotching him. He hits the pump power drive knee with Takeshita on the top rope, and then he follows up with the Raging Fire, Avalanche Raging Fire out of the corner for the 1-2-3. Takeshita retains the AEW International Championship. I think me and Alex Pulowski said it best on the Sour Groups Fightful Select review. This was the quietest and most unassuming 4-star match I think I've ever seen. I think this is like the lowest great match I think I've seen in quite some time. Where I was just like, everything they're doing is great. The crowd is still not recovered from Ospreay and Fletcher, but the last 5 minutes of this match was absolutely excellent. I think these guys really found their groove but they really hurt the first half of this matchup because they tried to work a more methodical, slower pace. When it's Ricochet and Konosuke Takeshita, you just let them go out and hit all the moves.
Right.
So I think that it would have been overall a better standout matchup if they had done that early, but I can't deny the last 5 minutes were absolutely tremendous. So this was a very good matchup. I gave it 4 stars. JJ, what did you think?
Yeah, I had my feelings about this match too. I didn't, as much as I'm watching this match and I'm seeing the move trading, and I'm just like, there's no way Ricochet's beating this guy. Like, and I picked Ricochet because I'm like, all right, he's on a hot streak, but I'm like, Ricochet in his arsenal doesn't have enough high impact moves to beat somebody like Takeshita. Like, he just don't. Like, he has a lot of like dazzling moves and a lot of like, you know, good looking moves, but nothing like impactful enough to like look like it hurts him. Like he Takeshita is too big. Like, he's too big of a guy, and you gotta have some believable shit in your arsenal other than your finishing move to look like, all right, yeah, he's got a chance to beat him. Like, the moves that this dude was hitting on Ricochet, I'm like, God damn, this shit gonna be over after any move now. like after any one of these moves, this shit, like, damn, this shit could finish him. The fucking twisting, like the twisting fucking whatever that shit is called into the fucking power, that crazy looking Blue Thunder Deep Six looking power bomb, like that shit looked fucking insane. Like this guy is basically almost killing this guy, and this is like a series of moves that he's doing to him. I'm like,
right,
there's no way Ricochet is beating this guy. And then the final impact move, 1, 2, 3, match done. like Ricochet, he did well, but I'm like, damn, this almost felt like a mismatch between these two, just because of the aerial assault that Ricochet does, but it just doesn't look like it has an effect on Takeshita that much to like wound him enough for him to actually hit a fucking 630. Like, it just didn't feel like there was enough there. Like, I think, to me, like, if they have another match or something, like, Ricochet is going to have to find something more impactful and more like damaging to actually look like there's a threat to beat him, because I didn't feel a threat from Ricochet at all in this match. Like it was good, but I didn't feel there was a chance of Takeshita losing this match, which turned out to be the case. But it was good, but I just didn't feel like he had a chance.
Yeah, this match didn't have what I think we'll talk about the main event had, where you know the result going in, but they got to at least get you once. And this match did not get you once.
Yeah.
Kris, what did you think?
I like this match a lot. I was on Blue Sky with those cats, chatting yesterday about the match, and there were people that were upset that Ricochet lost. And I think that getting upset that he lost kind of misses the point of him being in AEW. He's in AEW so he can tell stories with his matches. And Ricochet is not a guy like Bobby Lashley, where Bobby Lashley goes to a company and you expect him to just run through guys because he's kind of that immovable object archetype character. Ricochet is a guy who's got to work his way up. And I think in WWE, he never really got the chance to work his way up, because every time he worked his way up, he hit a ceiling. In AEW, he gets to fight Takeshita and he loses, but from this, I expect him to learn what he did wrong, and then kind of move up the the ladder in that way. And I thought that was that the match told a really good story that, this is Takeshita's time. Ricochet was never going to beat Takeshita because Ricochet has some work to do. And I think it's perfectly fine to tell that kind of story with a guy like Ricochet. So I really enjoyed this match.
Yeah, like I said, most unassuming great match that I've seen.
Yeah, it was
quite some time.
So like for one of the examples of the moves that he did was like he put him in like a fireman carry position and then turned it into a flip kick. Like, bro.
Oh no, that's the best he hit that.
Like,
That
right,
Benadryller. I like that.
I'm like, that ain't. This guy is too big for that. That shit ain't hurting him. Like,
I liked it. I just think he should have hit either.
But
he should have either hit the vertical or the spirit gun for a near fall. I think that would have helped
like something
get the
that
crowd
had
more into the
impact.
match.
Yeah.
Josh, any thoughts on this one?
I mean, the match was okay. It was a solid matchup. Like you said, it had a slow start, and then it didn't pick up until like the last 5 or 10 minutes. But there was no part of me that thought Ricochet was winning. Which is fine because I didn't think he was winning anyway. But the match was pretty solid, nothing too crazy to go home about. Maybe Ricochet is still in that WWE-esque kind of stage of his wrestling where he's not going to go full, all out right off the start. Because that's kind of what I've been waiting for from Ricochet. But he is older, and I know that that's something that he did talk about. So, it's just a different kind of style that he's doing while he's probably still doing some of his stuff. But sooner or later, I think he'll get there. I think once he figures out certain things, like certain guys probably work better at a faster pace right off the bat. I think he'll figure it out. But overall, a solid matchup, right person won. That's all I could really ask for.
Next up,
I think one thing that Ricochet needs to add is like a very, very strong secondary move. Like, what I'm saying? Like how like somebody like Orange Cassidy, he has like the beach break. Like Swerve has the house call. Like they all got something that's like bam, and there's something there that's like, oh shit, this is gonna lead to something. I don't think Ricochet has that.
Well, he's developing that with the spirit gun move, right?
Yeah,
now.
He is. Yeah. I was about to say that because he did talk about that. I think he was in an interview with CVV, and I think CVV was the one that noticed that. He's like, "Is that a new move that you're doing?" And he's like, "Yeah," because he's trying to have like you said, like a secondary move. So it is something he's working on, and at least it's a good thing that he's self-aware of that. So that's a good.
It's not a bad loss. It's not a bad loss. Like, he obviously lost to a superior guy. But, when he's in these bigger championship matches, you got to put something in the fear of the crowd or the fucking anticipation or the hype of the crowd. They're like, yo, he could do this. And there's not a move in the arsenal yet that's like, all right, we're waiting for that.
Well, he kind of does, but the thing is that I don't know if he's going to do it. It's that what is that shit he does on the top rope? It's kind of like a 360. He hasn't done that yet. Yeah, he's kind of stayed away from it. That's basically the main move he could do. But I know he did talk about the same thing where he's 32 years old and it gets harder as he gets older.
Right. Like the 630 would be like, I think, his finisher. Like if he did that would be like the end. But what leads?
I don't even think it's his finisher. It's like how Will Ospreay uses the Tiger Driver, where he's only going to bust that out on certain matches, on certain big shows.
Big matches.
I think that the spirit gun is going to be his regular finisher now, and then he'll have Vertigo as kind of like the signature move or secondary finisher. But I think that Ricochet is not getting a lot of talk about it right now, but I think he could be a favorite to win the Continental Classic. I think that seems like something to really kind of like you could give him something big for him coming into AEW.
Right.
Yeah, like I said, he's working his way up. I think that's kind of the story they're telling with him. Ricochet is a slow build guy. He's not a guy that comes in the company and just starts destroying guys. It's not what he is.
Like if we're just asking for like a tad more, he's not in the wrong direction.
He's presentable.
Right.
He's looked presentable since he's come in,
and that's in the right direction. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing for Ricochet because remember when he was in WWE, not much. He was kind of in the same spot for years. Right. And I do think that they've done a good job with where they want to go with him. I don't think really nobody can't really complain, about it. I mean, I was like, I think he's in a better spot now than he was in WWE before he left.
100%. 100%. He's way more important in AEW right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Ricochet is 36, by the way. So,
oh, geez.
36?
36?
36.
Damn, he's older than I thought.
Yeah.
Oh, damn, he's a year older than me.
Yeah, I was like, that don't sound right because I know Will is like 31, 32, and he's definitely older than Will Ospreay.
No, that was good.
Next up, we get Swerve Strickland going one-on-one with Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley making his AEW pay-per-view debut. You had Jim Ross on commentary for this matchup here. He said that he dances like Prince Nana when he wakes up in the morning, and it feels good. Lashley showed off his power in the early going to the point where he was picking Swerve up from a pin attempt off a spinning slam. We get a one-arm vertical suplex connects as Nana got the crowd behind Strickland, who fired back with some chops. But one throat chop from Lashley put him back in control. We get a running power slam by Lashley for another 2 count. Lashley works over Strickland, slowing things down, putting him in a chin lock. Strickland's facial expressions selling it were great. You get Lashley missed a corner charge, so Swerve seemed to go for a swerve stomp, but Shelton ran distraction enough for Lashley to recover and launch Swerve with a running tackle. Back in the ring, Strickland started mounting a comeback, but Shelton tripped him and got caught by the referee, so he was ejected from ringside. On the other side of the ring, Swerve tried a slingshot crossbody, but Lashley caught Swerve on the edge of the apron and slammed him. Lashley positioned the steel steps and tried to power slam Swerve off of them, but Swerve fought back. He gouged the eyes of Lashley and then hit him with a DDT on the apron where Lashley looked like he missed and he landed really awkwardly on the outside. Then you had Nana basically giving Swerve a pep talk, telling him to calculate it, look at it. And then he runs up off the steel steps. Lashley is right by the Spanish announce table. He jumps and Swerve catches him with a swerve stomp through the Spanish announce table. Great spot there. Swerve puts him back into the ring. He catches him flush with the house call and then follows up with the swerve stomp, but Lashley kicks out. Lashley went outside. Swerve got tried to get right in Lashley's face, but he got right in MVP's face instead. The delay allowed Lashley to hit a reverse overhead belly-to-belly suplex, and then he connects with a wild spear through the barricade, breaking through the barricade. Back in the ring, Lashley measures Swerve. He hits him with the spear, and then follows up with the hurt lock, and Swerve passes out. This was a dominating win, exactly what it needed to be. The match went just over 13 minutes, and it was exactly what I wanted, exactly what I needed from this matchup. It was Lashley dominating for 90% of the match, and Swerve had a really terrific comeback spot and comeback, during this matchup with his whole spots really getting the crowd behind him, but it just made for Lashley's win to feel that much stronger in the end because he beat a former AEW World Champion. I thought that this was the perfect way to do this matchup here, so I give it 3 3/4 stars. Kris, what did you think?
Yeah, man, I give it probably about 3.75 as well. I really, really enjoyed this match. I was on Blue Sky with talking about this match too, and people there were some people, not a lot, but some people that didn't love this match because they thought Lashley didn't do anything new. And I'm like, Lashley's character never needed rehabbing. Yeah, his character was perfectly fine. Shelton Benjamin is the guy that needed rehab, and he's gotten enough of that in AEW. And I mean, if y'all know me, on your shows, Sid, on my shows, and on WrestleNomics, when I was writing for WrestleNomics, I've probably done some fucking TED Talks about the black wrestlers in wrestling. And when Triple H said that bullshit a month ago about not seeing color, and then I see him dapping Donald Trump at the UFC fights, and then I see him fucking taking pictures with Don Bongino and fucking shit like that. And then Tony Khan, I don't think AEW's done great with black wrestlers either, but I saw an interview with him, I think it was on the Die Hard podcast, where he was asked that same question Triple H was asked. And he said, I do see color, he said, and it's important that we have good black wrestlers on our roster and that they're showcased in believable ways and all that stuff. And I think this was a very, very good showcase for Bobby Lashley and Swerve. And they even had the black referee in there.
It did.
And it was to me, it was great. I really, really love this. I like what the Hurt Syndicate is in AEW. They're getting to do things that WWE kind of hampered them from doing. The press, I did want to talk a little bit about the press conference at the end of the night, because Lashley was kind of cutting he was kind of like a baby face in the interviews, and MVP was kind of like really short with people and doing his MVP shit, telling people to shut up and stuff like that. But one thing that Lashley said that I did want to kick back on a little bit is one of the ladies in the press conference asked him about how does it feel to showcase black wrestlers in this way. And he said something like he wants to make it so where you're not even thinking about wrestlers being black. And I do kind of hate when wrestlers say shit like that, because that's a very important thing. Like, you are going to be the guy that brings black wrestling fans to AEW. So you need to lean into that, just like Punishment Martinez, Damian Priest, is the, you got to lean into the race stuff, because we're not in a country right now where people are accepting of different races the way they should be. So I think that AEW with this match and with the show overall, if I was doing the N.W.A. podcast and giving it the black grade, I give this show a solid A, maybe even an A+, because they did a really, really good job with black talent across the board. So love this match for what it was. It wasn't like you said, it was like 3.7. It wasn't like the greatest match ever, but it was what it needed to be. AEW hasn't really done a good job with immovable object type wrestlers. When I say that, I mean guys like Andre the Giant, Batista, The Undertaker, Goldberg, Lesnar, those kind of wrestlers. Like, AEW kind of had that with Wardlow, and then they just gave up on it. Lashley should be that guy in AEW where he's a boss, and it takes you a minute before you beat him, you know. So I had no problem with the way he beat Swerve, and that's my long answer to this question. So thanks for bearing with me. But yeah, I did like this match a lot.
Loved a lot what you said there. Josh, what did you think about Swerve versus Lashley?
Match was it was what it needed to be. Lashley needed to come in, dominate it, and that's exactly what he did. And I mean, it's good to see. You got to give some credibility to the stable. And so far they've been doing that. You know, Shelton Benjamin has been doing great things. MVP has been presentable as a manager. Lashley came in hot and it's continuing that. It's going to be good things for the Hurt Syndicate. I think that's a good thing for them. And the performance at the fucking conference was hilarious. MVP was like Greg Popovich 2.0. Like just short and sweet. Like he wasn't trying to he wasn't about the bullshit. Like, you know, even when he shit on the Wrestling Observer, like, oh, we don't answer questions from that nerd. Next question. It's great stuff. And, you know, when it comes to Lashley, to what he mentioned, you know, as somebody myself being Puerto Rican and Ecuadorian, I guess for a long time myself, you know, and I can admit this myself, at least younger, sometimes I didn't understand like the importance of like, you know, being, you know, the representation of like being Hispanic. I guess like when I was younger, I kind of didn't really understand it. Just because like growing up, it's different for me. Growing up, I kind of had a lot of even family. I kind of had a lot of family that weren't like in favor of like my side of the family, just because like some of us don't speak Spanish. So we kind of got judged off of that. So for a long time, I guess growing up, like you could say I had like some kind of resentment towards that. But as I gotten older, like I see how important it is. Like, oh, like somebody being Hispanic and doing great things. Like I could see why that means something to somebody else. Like when I do my artist appearances, I see that a lot. Like when I do my artist appearances, somebody asks me like, oh, like what's your background? And when I tell them like, oh, I'm half Puerto Rican, they get like excited off of that, you know, and they tell me how much it means to them seeing Hispanics doing great things and doing stuff like that. So in a sense, you know, like growing up, when I was younger, I guess I didn't understand it, but as I gotten older, I understand it. So I understand where Kris was coming from when it comes to like guys, when they say certain things like Lashley said yesterday, which in Lashley's mind might not be wrong with what he's saying because he wants it, I guess, normalized. But at the same time, it is an important thing, right? Like if you want, you know, black wrestlers to be pushed, you know, sometimes it's okay to lean to that because you want great things to happen. You want things to be more diverse. So in a sense, I get the back, and I don't want to say the backlash that Lashley has gotten, because there were some people who were in favor of that. They're like, oh, he cooked that reporter, and I'm like, he didn't really cook her. I was like, why people make it seem like that was a bad thing that the person asked? That was a little weird to me. It wasn't a bad question. It was a great question. I thought it was. And I thought it was a fair question because, you know, when we hear about Lashley, right? He's a two-time WWE champion. How many African Americans could say that? That's not Dwayne. That's not The Rock, right? He was a two-time champion, and that's important to a lot of not only black wrestlers but a lot of black fans growing up who wants to be inspired by that.
Yeah. So, how many black wrestlers can say they beat Brock Lesnar for a world title in that company? Beat him, period. You know? So I mean,
yeah, you know, and yeah, so like I get like it's one of those things where like I kind of get what Lashley's getting, what he was trying to say, but sometimes I'm like, at a time that we're at now, I'm like, I don't think you should be saying that right now, brother. Like, I think you need to not only read the room, but it's like you need to see how important it is, especially right now, all the stuff.
And
that we're going
especially
through.
off of what happened with you in WWE. That's why it wasn't a very well thought out answer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
especially the way he left, and yeah, it was kind of one of those things where it was like, oh, it wasn't good timing. It was not good.
And I understand what he's saying. I really do, because it should be normalized, but it ain't. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's just not right now. And you got to accept that. And then hopefully we could build to a more perfect wrestling company where it is normalized, because that's just not where we're at in the world right now.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy because like I think a lot of people are not talking about this as well. Was that Private Party was basically asked the same question and they gave an opposite answer to that.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So it was like like we kind of see where some like some black talent might feel that, some might not want to. It's one of those things where it's like such a gray area. There was like, oh, was Lashley really wrong for what he said, or like, you know what I mean? Like that's why it's a weird thing, because like again, Private Party said the opposite of that compared to what Lashley said. So it was one of those things where it's like, it becomes one of those situations where I don't think it's something that I found it weird yesterday when people were like kind of defending him and trying to like make it seem like it was some kind of like own. It was weird. I'm like, it wasn't an own. It was just like it rubbed people the wrong way for a reason.
JJ, what did you think about Swerve and Bobby Lashley?
I think as a match on the surface, it was probably one of the better like Bobby Lashley matches I've ever seen. Like I was more impressed with that with pretty much any of his WWE matches in his comeback. So I give it that, because one, and again, this is the part that I was, kind of alluding to early, like a little bit earlier, is trading impact for impact. So Swerve was able in his moments he was able to be very impactful with that 10 to 15% of the match that he had on the offensive side. Like that big, like that double stomp through the table. He hit that fucking devastating house call. He hit like, you know what I mean? Like there's shit that's like, whoa, he can actually do this. And so there was a moment there, and that's what I think, so a couple of these other guys do lack. Like Swerve is an impact wrestler, and I love that about him. And Bobby is he's just a man amongst he's like a god amongst men, basically. Like he's just built differently. And I think what he needs to realize is that he is different. And I think that he needs to be, more aware of that. I think that is something that he needs to be advised on a little bit differently, because you're not like everybody else. You don't look like everybody else.
Yeah, for real.
You're not a part of the status quo. So, like so even for me, like when I'm at where I'm at, I know that I am the only male black, like GM of where I work.
Right.
And that is I'm very aware of that. And I make that part known. Like there's a very small percentage of who you are, where you are. And I think he needs to be able to shed more light on that and be able to enlighten people to expand their horizons and open their eyes to a little bit more diversity, and say it proudly. Like, just because you are as accomplished as you are, you kind of get blind to like the importance of how different you look, instead of realizing how accomplished you are. And you're just like another guy doing your job at a high level. You are another guy doing a job at a high level that looks different than everybody else. And I think somebody, especially at damn near 50 years old, you should be very aware of that. Like very aware of that. Like, why do you think, like, and this would be something I would genuinely, like, if I had a chance to meet somebody like Bobby Lashley, would genuinely ask him, why do you think people were so elated, and it was such a different feeling when Kofi Kingston won the WWE Championship? Why do you think there was such a celebratory feeling of somebody that looked that different, did the biggest thing in this company and hit the biggest milestone? Because he looked different. He was not your status quo. He was not somebody that looked like everybody else. And I think Bobby is so talented. It's almost like he gets a little blind to that he's just so gifted that he doesn't pay that much attention. He knows how hard he works. He knows how dedicated he is, but he's got to realize there's a tone there that's different than everybody else's. So I think if somebody just kind of like, just, you know, just if you don't want to answer it, just let somebody answer it for you to a degree, because you might not know how to, you know, speak, because he's a talent. He's not a PR person. He's a talent.
Yeah, so, exactly.
So it's very different for somebody that speaks for a living, because he didn't do PR in the WWE. He wasn't somebody that did interviews and got asked those questions at press conferences and shit like that. This is a whole new world for him, to be at a media scrum and to be asked questions by random people from podcasts and from magazines and from fucking journalistic careers and shit like that. This is a different field. So it's almost like, hopefully MVP is somebody that kind of like, you know, enlightens him and educates him about stuff like that, because MVP does do that for a living. He is an advocate for the Black community. He is an advocate for shit like that. And that's why he stood so strong on his ground on not feeling important where he was in the WWE. There's a level of self-awareness that, hey, look, you're not going to put me with everybody. You're not going to put me with everybody that looks like me just because I look like this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just what it is. And I think he just has to be educated to be aware of that and to be able to speak on it. But as far as the performance, loved it. Like, I would even be somebody that'd be like, I'll give that shit like 4 stars, because I just enjoyed how much Bobby like looked and how comfortable he became in his first AEW performance that quickly with somebody that talented. But you know, so I just think this was a W across the board for him. But except that, you know, that presser, I just think he needs to be educated a little bit more on just how important he is to the community that he is serving.
Right. And I sent him a message on Facebook letting him know, like, look, dude, lean into that Black stuff, man. If that's what you do, if that's what you want to call it, lean into it, man. Because the thing is like JJ was saying, when we are the only people in these like select spaces, we really do have to understand where we are. Like, I remember when I first met Sid, what was it, like 2018-ish, something like that. I didn't know that there were other Black wrestling journalists in this space that were like-minded. And I met Sid, and then I met the Grapsody guys, and then I met like all these different kinds of people that think the way that I think, and not exactly the way I think, but are, you know, when it comes to like Black talent and stuff like that, we're all on the same page. And it's important to have all of us in these spaces, right? Just like with the Black wrestlers, it's important to have us in these spaces to eventually we're at the point where it does become normalized. Because at Cal State Fullerton, where I teach political science, I'm the only Black political science professor in that department, you know? So I always like, you know, that I'm always aware of that. I can't never not be aware of that, because it ain't normalized. You know, you want it to be normalized. Ideally speaking, in a perfect world, yeah, this shit would be normalized. But when you go on places like fucking X, where people are spouting off excrements every damn day, where you go on all these social media platforms and people are just fucking hating. They're posting memes of Kamala Harris twerking. They're posting all kinds of bullshit. we got to be the resistance against that shit, man. And it's very, very important to know that. And like JJ was saying, I'm not here to shit on Lashley for thinking the way he thinks, because like JJ said, he's not a PR person. Lashley is not what I would call a microphone guy, right. But I do think he would service himself well if he gets in some kind of media training in this. And Lashley knows, man. I mean, he's been around the block in these companies for a long time. He knows how these white promoters get with them. They wanted him to pimp out his wife. Or not his wife, Crystal Marshall, when they were dating in WWE. They wanted her to do some shit where she was Edge's little like black slut girl or whatever. So he knows he dealt with some racist shit from what's his name, Michael Hayes. So I mean he knows what the fuck he's dealing with, man. So let's cut the bullshit and let's move forward like we know what's real in the world is all I'll say.
We got Vala B with a super chat donation. Thank you so much, Vala B. Appreciate the support as always. He says, I gotta dip too, so leaving this last super chat out. Happy for Danny getting that win. You already know I've been shooting in the gym with him since day one, for sure. Big win for Daniel Garcia. And thank you so much, Vala B, for the super chat donation. We also got a Sipper sticker from our good brother Chuck Berries as well. Thank you so much, Chuck Berries, for the super sticker and all the love in the chat. Final call for super chat donations because we got one more match to discuss. And it is the main event, Jon Moxley with Marina Shafir facing Orange Cassidy for the AEW World Championship. This match started hot. You get the nice little big entrance with the Death Riders pulling up to the arena in their pickup truck. They all come out. All of them is wearing street clothes, including Moxley, who's wrestling in the match, and Pac is traveling in his ring gear. Hilarious. They arrive without Wheeler Yuta, but it's just Moxley and Shafir walking through the crowd to the ring. Shafir unlocked her hand from the briefcase she's been carrying around with the key around her neck, and she gave it to referee Bryce Rensburg, who never even opened it up to show the title. What a jackass. Cassidy fires off 3 orange punches and a tope as they're doing the ring introductions. They spill onto the commentary table where Cassidy lights up Moxley with hammer and anvil punches in the pound and ground situation. You then get Moxley, who drops Orange Cassidy on the steel steps with a Death Rider, busting open Orange. This feels like the first time that Orange is bleeding since All Out last year. Moxley connects with the paradigm shift on the steps as he's distracted the referee long enough for Shafir to get in her shots on Orange as well. Finally, in the ring now, you get Moxley is relentless in his attack, biting at the bloody forehead of Orange, hitting a God-style power driver for a 2, and then coming in with some punches. Moxley places Cassidy on the Spanish announce table, but you get Cassidy who fights back, chucking him into the steel steps. While his hands were covered in Orange's blood, Moxley high-fived Shafir. Shafir had a great reaction where she just looks at her hand like, what the fuck? Cassidy
just continuously wiped it.
Cassidy then started to fire up. The crowd was getting behind him. He refused to back down. Love the part where Moxley is just beating the hell out of Cassidy, and Cassidy's just getting fired up, and you can see the fans getting fired up with him. And then he just raises his hands, puts his hands in his pocket, starts doing the lazy kick, which just pisses off Moxley. So then Orange just starts coming back at him with some strikes of his own. You get Moxley daring Cassidy to fight back. He tried, but again, Moxley hit him so hard that he felt like a mannequin. While in the corner, Moxley viciously raked the back of Orange, which looked even cooler with the blood on his hands. but Cassidy returns the favor. He rakes at Moxley's back. He then leaps off the top rope with a DDT, but Moxley pops him right in midair with a forearm. Cassidy bites at the fingers of Moxley but fell trapped into a guillotine. Moxley wanted an avalanche power driver, but Cassidy fought free and hit a diving DDT for a 2 count. We get a beach break for a very close 2 count. That was a great callback. They did a superb job of calling back to their previous 2 matches. The 3 orange punches at the beginning of the match was a callback to last year's Full Gear. The bloody orange and him basically going into his gimmick at the end was a callback to All Out. You get Claudio and Pac. They come down to the ring. They surround ringside and emerge from the crowd. But the conglomeration come down to even the odds. It's 3-on-2 as they fight to the back. Rocky Romero hits a big dive onto the pile. With referee Bryce Rensburg, attention turn. You get Shafir, who comes in with the briefcase, but out comes Willow Nightingale, who gets a huge reaction from this crowd. She tackles Marina Shafir and takes her out of play. Orange Cassidy then grabs the briefcase. He waffles Moxley with it. Referee Bryce Rensburg turns around. He gets the 1, 2, 3 kick out. This was the near fall, the key near fall in this matchup where they got everybody. They had everybody in that crowd bite on that near fall on the briefcase shot. I was like, it's very reminiscent of the second super kick at WrestleMania 25 between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. Everybody knew The Undertaker was going to win, but they made that crowd bite in Houston, Texas with that second super kick, and they did that here with the briefcase shot. You get Moxley was stumbling around. He grabs the referee, which allows Wheeler Yuta to come from under the ring with the hoodie on. He blasts Orange Cassidy with the Psycho knee. You get Moxley follows up with the Death Rider. 1, 2, 3. Jon Moxley wins. He retains the AEW World Championship, but he put over Orange Cassidy so well in defeat. The fact that Moxley, who worked this matchup like he was a mixture of Chuck Liddell and fucking Mike Tyson, the way he was just badgering and beating the hell and just acted like a caged animal this entire matchup. And Orange Cassidy is just one of the best underdog baby faces of this generation. Like, he told the story with playing into the fact that he knew Moxley would be aggressive, be bringing the violence. He fell right into it. He was bloody. He was beaten, but he would never give up, never quit. And it took Moxley getting the help from outside, from the Death Riders, to finally beat him, putting Orange over in the process. Post-match, you get Wheeler Yuta. He grabs a bottle of disinfectant chemicals from under the ring, and they dump it on Orange Cassidy, poisoning this man.
Whoa.
Hangman Adam Page then comes down. You think that he might join the Death Riders, but he blasts Wheeler Yuta with the steel chair to a huge pop from this crowd as he stares down with the AEW World Champion. But as he's staring down with his former rival, Christian Cage comes in. He delivers a kill switch to Moxley. Page then picks up Christian's contract case. It looks like he's going to do a tug of war with Christian for a bit, but he finally lets go. He leaves Christian with Moxley. Christian is about to sign his contract when Switchblade Jay White shows up. He runs down. He delivers a Blade Runner to Christian Cage. Christian grabs his contract and gets out of here. Jay White looking at the AEW World Champion right before Pac and Claudio Castagnoli attack Jay White from behind. He yells for Pac to come back as he's laughing because he knows he's got the attention of the Death Riders. Meanwhile, White grabs a steel chair and he goes to the back. The Death Riders are going to their truck when a car with spray painted skulls runs into the pickup truck of the Death Riders. The Death Riders push over the valet, grab some keys, and steal somebody's car. And then we see the person driving the car is, of course, Darby Allin, who's stumbling out of the car. He's bleeding from the head. The Death Riders have bailed as Darby is screaming for them to come back and finish things right now. A very chaotic ending to the show. But just to talk about the main event, this main event was fucking fabulous. Oh my God. For a match that I had little to no interest in because of the buildup not being the best for this matchup and the horrible way they left that go-home show with Orange Cassidy, they delivered here in every way. Orange Cassidy feels like the ultimate underdog, the way that he was able to kind of play with the emotions of the crowd, take it away, then get them riled up, and they're rallying behind him, and he makes his comeback. And the fact that he got them to bite on that briefcase shot. He got me to bite on that briefcase shot. I was like, they might do it. No, okay, cool. All right, and then Wheeler Yuta coming in. I don't think it's going to get enough praise for that because I usually don't like the heel champion getting help to get the win. But in this case, this helps Orange. This makes Orange look good because Moxley has been a world beater. Moxley washed Bryan Danielson, one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time, last month. Didn't need anybody's help for that, but he needed help to beat Orange Cassidy. That puts over Orange. This was excellent. I give it 4 3/4 stars. This was a fantastic main event to the show. JJ?
Yeah, I had almost no interest in this match. And damn, like first things first, Mox looked absolutely fucking jacked. Like my God, this guy's been fucking killing it. Like he looks exactly like the part he's playing. And that you don't have no idea how much that helps the character. Like my God, he looks like a world beater. Like, you know, he looks like that dude. Yeah, I think the way you described it is that like Mox had so much domination in this match too, but he couldn't kill the bug. He couldn't kill the bug. Like the bug just kept reviving itself. It was like the fucking indestructible cockroach, basically. Like he just kept beating him and stomping him and slapping him and throwing them all and just fucking doing all this fucking excruciating shit with the scratches, the stare spots, and fucking just hard hits and the fucking kick that just collapsed them when he fucking just dead kicked the shit out of him in the arm and he just dropped like a slug. Like it was just this felt like a brutal beating that Orange just wanted. And it just came out. It was really visceral and it was really good. This was such a perfectly like paced John Moxley match that had the ingredient of almost like turbo that Orange then just all of a sudden just inserts. And it just all just gelled so well. Like this was almost like a match that I had no idea that I needed to see this bad. Like this was really.
And I also didn't expect the crowd to be as invested. They reacted to Orange like he was one of the superstars on this show.
And you know what actually helped that to me too, I think, is the way the match started. Like the way Orange just came out of the gates hot. Like he just was like, fuck this introduction shit. Like just out the gate, just 3 Superman punches, like bam, bam, bam in a row. And then starting to beat them outside on the announce table. Like he got them invested as soon as it started. There was no feeling out process. There was no there was none of that slow start. It was literally out the gate, hard hitting, and it just didn't take a break. And I think that just fit perfect for the type of match that they wanted, that they were looking for. And then the shenanigans that took place, like you would never think that you would need shenanigans to beat Orange Cassidy in a match. When you are John Moxley and you needed shenanigans and you needed the Death Riders and you needed Wheeler Yuta and you needed all like that. I love what this did for Orange. Like, I love what this did for Orange. Just like, like solidifies his placement in being in a picture like this. And also, I'm loving the development of Orange Cassidy's character. Like, I'm loving that they have finally like started to kind of like take the mask off of his character a bit. And he's still that chill, cool guy, like that nonchalant. But now there's a heart in there that fucking has a sound, and it sounds good. It sounds good. It's not cringe. Like he sounds authentic, and this is the shit that, like, when you see somebody's character slowly develop, his has just become so good that he has become such a believable top face, and I'm all here for it because, you know, I was kind of like, you know, I hated the gimmicky matches that he was having, like the orange juice match and all of that. I was like, I'm not a fan of shit like that. But shit like this, where stuff means shit and he's fighting for something, like, my God, I was like, damn, this is awesome. This is awesome for Orange. And I hope that this is not the end of like what he's doing. I just hope that this continues to catapult him and keep him serious, because I loved it. And I would agree, like, this was easily, I was like, this is a minimum 4.5, 4 3/4 for me. But I loved it. I was like, this was, to me, like, if I did 4 3/4 for Mercedes and for Kris, I was like, I enjoyed that match a tad bit more. So I was like, I'm gonna go 4.5 on this one. But this to me was way over delivered for me. Like, I wasn't expecting anything out of this match, as you probably heard me like hating on this card yesterday. And I was like, yo, this I'm not gonna sit here and act like, oh yeah, just because I wasn't looking forward to it doesn't mean I'm not gonna get the chance to enjoy it. This shit was fantastic. Yeah. The shit at the end, I was kind of like, it
felt overbooked.
It was a little too much at the end to me. Like, I thought the pay-per-view, honestly, after the Christian shit happened, I was like, okay, this should kind of end the show, and then it just continued. I was like, damn, they really dragging out the end of this show. But, you know, it's all gonna come to make sense now that they're starting, like, story development, that they're doing it. So I was like, I'm okay with it because this is leading to something. And that's what I was like.
And one of the big complaints about the Death Rider storyline is the lack of main eventers involved in it. And you just inserted 3 main eventers into the angle with Christian, Hangman, and Jay White.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, it's leading to something. So I'm okay with it. After if I rewatch it now, it's like, okay, now this is building to something. Hopefully they just continue on this path. Because, you know, after what we saw last week, hopefully there's so much more meat on the bone that they can now go into building to World's End, into you know, the Dynasty show, and then to Revolution. So now they got shit to work with, which will then shut people the fuck up and stop bitching if they see a bad show for 1 week.
But this felt like the second straight or third straight pay-per-view that had an angle that is going to make people want to watch on Wednesday. Right. I don't know if it was as effective as the BCC turning on Brian at All Out or the ending of Wrestle Dream, but it was the type of so much chaos that just people are going to be like, yeah, man, let me see what happens next. How they're going to make sense of all of this. Kris, what did you think about the main event and post-match?
The main event was good. I thought it was pretty like y'all said. I really didn't care about this match. I never thought Orange Cassidy was going to win the match. They did a good job of kind of making you think he was going to win, but I didn't quite bite because it's Orange Cassidy, and it just wasn't something I was willing to bite with. But it was a good match. And if it would have happened, I would have been like, wow. I'll tell you this about the post match. If Christian would have actually signed the contract and beat Moxley, I'd have probably called this my pay-per-view of the year just because of the sheer I didn't expect that to happen stuff, because I would have really liked that. I think they're kind of telegraphing Christian is gonna sign that contract on I'm guessing, and y'all can tell me if I'm tripping or not, but I think Darby Allin is gonna be the guy to eventually beat Moxley. I think Christian's gonna sign that sheet of paper and be a transitional champ for a month until somebody beats him for it. But even if that doesn't happen, I like the fact, the one thing I will say about this pay-per-view is it's got me thinking in directions all over the place that I haven't thought about before, which I think is a good thing. So I really did enjoy this match.
We're all in agreement there. Josh, close this out. What did you think about the main event?
Our main event was good. Great matchup. Orange and Moxley always work well together. So I wasn't on the downside of things. Only the downside was the build up, and OC, the way that match happened, will Yuta happen. That was basically about it. But the match itself, I think, delivered, and also they did a good job of making you believe that, oh shit, it might happen, because that fucking pinfall was close as fuck when he hit him with the thing, and then that was super close. But besides that, I mean, the match was great. It's a great main event. The ending stuff, I mean, it was overbooked. But at the same time, I don't think it was the worst thing in the world. Like some people were trying to make it out to be last night. Like I had somebody go on a rant saying like, "What the fuck is wrong with this company?" I was like, "God, like fucking relax."
Yeah.
Like I was like, "Relax." Like it's not the end of the fucking world. But then also, I thought they did like even though it was overbooked, I do agree with Sid where I was like, they actually did a good job implementing others that we kind of asked for, because basically when we had this whole idea of like, oh, Death Riders versus Team AEW, if you look at the Team AEW side, you had a bunch of jobbers and a bunch of lackeys that it was kind of like you can't really take this serious, and then you kind of already made them look like idiots because of that one time they were all waiting in the parking lot, not knowing that the Death Riders show up in the crowd. So I'm like, why are you waiting in the parking lot when these guys could show up anywhere? So implementing Jay White, implementing Hangman Page, implementing Christian Cage was a great move, right? I think two things could be right at once, right? Could be overbooked, but at the same time, the people that were used, it was a good move because you're using the star power that you do have available in the storyline, and it makes it interesting to see where it goes, because again, Hangman is such a fucking wild card because he's been unhinged. Then he came in yesterday and fucking took out Yuta, so that was an interesting thing. And then Jay White got involved, in which I know Sid did say like he does see Jay White versus Mox for the title at some point, and we kind of saw that, and I was like, oh shit, like might be happening sooner than later. And then the Christian stuff, and they still have that. He's still been building off of that. He made it interesting last night. So again, overbooked, yes, but I don't think it was the worst thing. Like we've seen worse AEW endings. I mean, we still have the exploding death match. We still have that. That was really awful. So again, great main event, and they do have a good direction that hopefully going to World's End they kind of work on. Have a nice build up, have a nice year-end run to the company, because starting January they're doing the simulcast, so they already kind of teased like the changes that they're doing, which kind of made me made me excited, because I was like, oh shit, they're doing Fight for the Fallen like this early, and it's going to be simulcast. So they're taking it seriously. I kind of like the fact that they did that as well. Side note, but yeah, I just right now just look forward to what they do with the rest of the year. They have a strong rest of the year. That's all I can really ask for the on a fan perspective, because the ratings are the ratings what it is now. I mean, it is what it is. You know, I think if we harbored on that a little too much, then it's kind of like we're taking a wave of what we're enjoying, you know, and the direction that they're going with smaller arenas. You know, same thing. SP3 did call that. He did mention that, hey, go smaller arenas, and I guess they kind of figured like, yeah, let's do smaller buildings, which could be a good thing. So they are doing things that, you know, getting this new TV deal. They did say that they were going to focus more on certain things because of the new TV deal. And you kind of started to see it last night. You kind of started to see that a little bit. So, you know, hey, whatever it goes from here, I just don't have a strong finish for 2024.
And we shall see what they do to do that. We want to thank y'all for joining us live. Thank y'all if you're watching us on demand. If you've been watching up until this point, we appreciate y'all. Remember to show your appreciation back. Final call for super chat donations. And of course, in the chat, let us know your match of the night, your MVP, your LVP. Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle, and out of 10, what did you give this show? For me, Josh, Kris, and JJ for AEW Full Gear 2024 in 3, 2, 1. Thumbs up across the board from everyone on the screen here. Out of 10, I'm going to give this one an 8.5 out of 10. Really strong show. That AEW signature traditional stretch of matches. Just it's unmatched in professional wrestling. When they get that stretch of matches, that's banger after banger after banger, it elevates each and every one of these pay-per-views. This was more or less just like a very good to great show that I don't think is an S tier AEW pay-per-view though. Like, it's a great AEW pay-per-view, but it ain't S tier. All Out, that was S tier. All In, that was S tier. All Revolution this year, that was S tier. Even Dynasty was close to that S tier. This is more like an A tier, B tier type AEW pay-per-view, but still a quality show. Kris?
Yeah. I don't think this is my favorite. This isn't even my favorite Full Gear, but it's still a really good show. When this is not your best show, but it's still a really good show, it's a very good problem to have. So I did like this show a lot, and I think it's setting up a lot of stuff in the future. So I'm happy with that.
JJ, what do you got out of 10? What did you give the show?
I might be in the minority here. I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. And reason being is because, one, obviously this had a ton of great matches in this card. But I think what is also underrated and undervalued is how many right decisions was made in this pay-per-view. Like, they did so many good things decision-wise in this pay-per-view. So, you know, you could blunder a show with poor decisions and great matches. And also the match placement to me was damn near perfect. And that pace matters, timing matters, card play, like all of that shit to me, like that shit really played a lot of factors in it for me. And I thoroughly enjoyed a show that in my mind I had no business enjoying. Like I didn't think that this was gonna, I thought this was gonna be like a 6.5 best. And if I had the Mercedes match that superly exceeded, I had the Mox and Orange that superly exceeded, then I have a match of the year candidate with Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher. Like I don't see many, I don't really see something bad that happened in this pay-per-view. So besides the break that we needed with May and Mia, but that ain't taking 2 points off for me. So I thought, like, top to bottom, this was a damn good pay-per-view. Like, I thought this was damn good. Like, you know, I might take away like a quarter, like maybe a half for all of that focus on the Acclaimed at the start of the show. But this shit was really, really good. Like, this was a really good pay-per-view, and I'm not gonna have anything bad to say about this show. So to me, yeah, I might be a minority, but I'm going 9.
Josh?
Going 8.5. Like I said, really good pay-per-view. There's really wasn't really a bad matchup, and maybe the worst matchup was actually a good matchup. So it's a good overall show. AEW with their pay-per-views, they always deliver. And I think at this point it's kind of become a norm, like you said earlier. It's become a norm that is like, yeah, with their pay-per-views, I think we expect something being great or something that we could really enjoy. I just wish that whatever they do with the pay-per-views, they do it with TV. And I think that's one thing that they really need, because it's one of those things where, like I said, right, when it came to Wednesday, the first hour was good. Second hour, it fell off a cliff, where I'm just like, all right, look at that first hour, guys. Look at that first hour. Whatever you guys at that first hour, keep doing that. Like, there shouldn't be a reason why there should be a giant cliff when it comes to like the quality dipping that bad, right? And we kind of see that with the pay-per-views, where the pay-per-views is the opposite of that, right? Not only with that, overall ticket sales, they've done tremendous when it comes to the pay-per-views. This past, Full Gear did over 10,000 people, so they're doing well when it comes to the pay-per-view itself. Not only ticket sales, but the buy rates. I think they're either past 1 million combined this year with Full Gear, or they're getting there. So I mean, it's been a good year for overall for the pay-per-views, not only number-wise, but quality shows. That's all that, and that really matters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What was your match of the night, Josh?
Oh, easily Fletcher and Ospreay. That's not even a debate.
JJ?
Yeah. I mean, we said that like 2 hours ago, but yeah, Ospreay and Fletcher.
Kris?
I'm giving it to Mercedes and Kris.
But yeah.
Only because Mercedes has been getting so much shit since she got to AEW.
Give her flowers, Kris.
And I'm glad she had the match she had last night.
Shut these niggas up.
Yeah, so I'm giving it to Mercedes and Kris for that reason.
Match of the night for me, I'm following along with JJ and Josh. It's Kyle Fletcher versus Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay, man. I think other than like All In and Double or Nothing, those are the only shows I didn't give him match of the night for, basically, this year from AEW pay-per-views. MVP for the show, I got co-MVPs. I give it to Kyle Fletcher for the biggest win of his career, and I'm giving it to Mercedes Moné and Kris Statlander for going out there and having one of the best AEW pay-per-view female matches of all time. Chris?
I'm giving it to the black wrestlers, man. I'm just giving it to all of them because I thought they all, because usually on these cards, it's like if you watch WWE and you watch like if the Street Profits win a match, then you know for a fact that Kofi Kingston is losing the match, and it's just too much fucking like mental chess I play with myself when I watch WWE. In this show, you had the Street Profits, which I didn't necessarily love the finish, but they had a good showing. And then you had Mercedes.
Street Profits weren't on this show.
Not the Street Profits. The Private Party. The other drinking black tag team. The Private Party. You had
other drinking black tag team.
You had Mercedes.
You're not helping our kind right now, man.
Right. Well, I'm just saying.
Some other drinking niggas.
Yeah, one of them, man. But yeah, but I just thought they all had good, like the Hurt Business, Mercedes, Private Party, Ricochet. I really liked what I saw on this show, so I'm giving it to the black wrestlers.
JJ?
MVP, I would agree with the co-MVPs. I'm definitely going Kyle Fletcher, but I'm gonna give the other nod to Mercedes Moné, like on her own. Reason being is because we can only imagine how much flack this woman has received over the last few weeks and months.
Mm-hmm.
And she turned lemon into lemonade, and she turned shit and wiped it off and turned it into diamonds. Like she had a star-making performance last night, which she's already a star, but it's like she went in with all of these, like, oh, she's gonna shit the bed again. Oh, it's another Mercedes match. This shit is gonna suck. Like, it's the same old shit over and over. And no, she had contender for women's match of the year last night. So I gotta show her love. And my God, Kyle Fletcher, the fucking biggest match of his fucking life, just took place last night. So there's no way not to give him the nod too. So I'm going one on each end, one guy, one girl. And those are my two MVPs for the night. It's Kyle Fletcher and Mercedes Moné.
Josh?
I'm going with Mercedes and Kyle Fletcher.
And LVP for the show, I got to give it to Max Caster. He got booed out the building. The act is stale, and everybody just wants Anthony Bowens to get far, far away from you. He's my LVP. JJ?
My LVP of the night is fucking Adam Cole. Fucking Adam Cole. Like, you're the worst friend on the fucking planet, bro. Like, the worst friend on the planet. Like, you just watched a man's arm get broken on fucking Gorilla, and then tell your music to fucking hit, and then you don't even attend to your friend. Adam Cole is the LVP of the night.
He's a little forgetful. He had his thoughts on his angle. Josh?
Max Caster. I can't even put it on any claim just because I think Bowens ain't doing nothing wrong. It's Max Caster easily.
Kris?
Yeah, I gotta give it. I have co-MVPs because I forgot about Adam Cole until JJ just reminded me. But I gotta give it to Max Caster for just I saw someone in the chat say the claim. No, it's Max Caster. He gets it by himself, not Bowens. And then Adam Cole, man, with the horrible fucking spray tan and coming out late, to help his boy. It just the way that was booked was just really silly and boggles the mind. Unless they're trying to do another reverse heel turn. I don't know, but
please, dear God, no.
Yeah, I hope not. Yeah, LVP to Caster and to Adam Cole.
Well, we've made it to the end of the review here. I had such a great time talking to all of you guys in the chat, as well as our esteemed panel that we got here. This was an all-star panel to talk about Full Gear last night, and had plenty of fun talking about it with all of y'all. Remember, if you haven't already, drop the thumbs up on the video. If you're watching us on demand, let us know in the comments down below your thoughts on AEW Full Gear. Want to thank our special guest, as always, Professor Kris, joining us for these AEW pay-per-view reviews. The floor is yours, Kris. Let everybody know where they can follow you on social media, when they will see you again, N.W.A. podcast, and more.
All right, so you can follow me on both Twitter and on Blue Sky. The handle is KMEZ Does It, so just look for me both of those places. And then I think we're doing our next N.W.A. show third Sunday of December. Yeah, man, just I'm kind of chilling the rest of this year because I'm on my Thanksgiving break. But yeah, just keep your ear to the pavement. All right.
Do it. Josh, thank you as always for joining me today. Let everybody know where they can follow you.
You can follow me, JMPunk321, Twitter and Instagram. And I'll be back Saturday for THH 305.
Top Guy JJ completing your weekend of being back into the True Hill Heatverse. Let everybody know where they can follow you.
On Instagram, you can find me at TrueHill_Top Guy JJ. And as I mentioned yesterday, for the remainder of 2024, I'm in kind of question because I'm about to enter the juggernaut of my schedule, which is December and Black Friday weekend and all of that good shit. So I'm not sure. I'll know by the day. So next for sure, January, first weekend of January, like I told, I'll be on True Hill Heat for sure. The first Saturday of January. Until then, I don't know about my December, but hope all of you guys stay safe. Have yourselves a wonderful holiday. Happy Thanksgiving. You know, all of that good stuff. Merry Christmas if I don't see any of you guys. But yeah, it's gonna be fun and a crazy end to the year as it usually is in the world of wrestling.
Indeed, it is. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSB3. Follow the gang, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at True Hill Heat. Patreon.com/True Hill Heat. $3 a month gets you exclusive content. The best place to support us when we are not live here, and we'll have more content over there in the weeks and days to come. I will be back with you. I think I might do something tomorrow. I wasn't planning on something. We got our who Becky Lynch will face at WrestleMania 41 video that's supposed to be dropping tomorrow. But I might be with y'all live tomorrow afternoon because AEW, thankfully, is announcing the Continental Classic participants today. So I can do some content for the tournament before Wednesday. So I might join y'all for that. We might talk some Continental Classic, give our predictions on the tournament tomorrow afternoon. So hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified so you always know whenever we are live here. And of course, we'll see you on Tuesday, Rated Raw review. Wednesday, we got our Survivor Series preview. Thursday, AE Ramble. And of course, next Saturday, the True Hill Heat flagship podcast. And next Sunday, our Survivor Series review. But thank you so much to Professor Kris, to Top Guy JJ, to the True Jaw Josh, and to all of you. It is me, your True Heel Phenom SP3. This has been our AEW Full Gear 2024 review. We are signing off until next time.
If you have an Adam Cole friend, rid of him.